Welcome to another lovely episode of What in the Smut Podcast, where the books are horny, and so are we.
I'm Elle.
Okay, and if you're new here, you might not recognize the voice, but if you've been around for a while, we are joined yet again by Nik the Forge Bear. Welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me back. I love popping in every so often. Just for the intros. I can leave now, guys.
No, please stay. We've got a good episode coming up.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this one. Are you kidding? This is going to be good. This is my topic. This is my favorite.
So before we get started, Elle, what do we got going on in the Smutverse this week? Anything good?
Well, the bookish drama has been light this week, almost as if all of the external forces have finally forced people to realize that this hobby of ours is supposed to bring us joy and not more strife. Sure, there was the thread with literally hundreds of replies debating whether a cliffhanger should be included in the description of a book. And of course, there was more speculation in the mainstream media about why on earth so many people are horny for hockey players right now.
That's a question.
So many people are baffled by the romance genre, having experienced it for the first time through heated rivalry, and
I was horny for hockey players before the books.
Same.
I'm a hipster. I was horny before the books.
We're all just living in the heated rivalry afterglow at this point. I think.
What a mood. But all in all, it feels like those in the bookish community, like so many others, are holding their breath, waiting for the next unprecedented event. I'd much rather be holding my breath, waiting for a sexy, rugged man to find me in the woods, like our main character this week. Okay?
So this week we read Willing Prey by Allie Oleander. And the synopsis says, an exhilarating primal summer fling in the woods leads to an intensely sexy, edgy romance where anything goes. Just remember your safe word. Divorced and buried in student loan debt, Claire Collins eagerly enters a spicy business agreement with an acquaintance who wants to explore his primal desires. The deal is simple: 30 days as his sexual prey, $30,000 in her bank account. All she has to do is give Shane Underwood the hunt of his life. Claire is a physical education teacher and perfectly happy to spend her summer having wild, kinky sex instead of working her usual serving job. But once they cross the tree line, she realizes how little she knows about the corporate lawyer paying her to be his prey. Shane is different in the woods. Brutal, devastating, feral. That's okay with Claire. She is too. And she's sinking her teeth a little deeper into Shane's heart every time he catches her. This is a good synopsis.
It is a very good synopsis.
It hits it completely right. And the synopsis in and of itself, when you guys were like, oh, here's a book. And I was like, okay. And then I read the synopsis and I was like, yes, this is it.
Where would you put this one on the smut scale?
Well, given that we have two participants, but I would call Primal play a rarer kink. I would put this at a level 3. I would not call this dubcon because there's a clear communication. There's the contract. There's a lot of discussion of safe words. There's checking in regularly, even during the heated scenes, about the safe word and making sure that everyone's still on board and into it. So I do think it lands at level 3. There is some a little bit of an interaction with an ex that borders on non-consensual, or not borders, is non-consensual, but borders on very inappropriate. But otherwise, I mean, even as far as triggers go.
It does say consensual non-consent in the kinks.
Interesting.
In the trigger warnings. Now.
Okay.
I
CNC
mean,
was in the triggers, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I think
feel
the
like
most
I didn't
triggering
see
thing
it.
was the X.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like I didn't see or I didn't recognize it as CNC anywhere really in the book. But I mean, I
guess the fact that she's continually trying to get away and to the point of throwing herself off of a roof, That is consensual non-consent. Like, he is catching her. It's funny because, like, when I think of consensual non-consent, this is not what I think of, but it was so well written that I was never in, exactly. I was never in question about, like, everyone being excited to be involved.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like a lot of times with consensual non-consent, it's like making the reader walk the line of, like, is this still consensual? I don't know, just so you can kind of, like, dip your toe in and, like, get a sense for how it feels. But it's in the trigger warnings. It is definitely an interpretation of what's
So then that bumps
here.
this up to a 4.
I guess so.
Our ratings.
That's true.
Nick, what are you thinking?
I have to say, I mean, like, yeah, I would give it, just because of some of the more physical interactions that they have.
Yeah.
Like, there is a semi-busted nose. It's not a broken nose, but a semi-busted nose. We're moving into that 4 region, I think. The CNC, I mean, when I think of CNC, I think of anywhere, anytime, no warning. I think maybe CNC was just kind of put there in order to make sure that there was a safe space to maneuver. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
CNC as a possible outcome with a play partner, but not really going to that level. Like, there is some clothing tearing, but there was also warning that would happen beforehand, and kind of like a budget put in place for it. So, so I would say it's that cozy between 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
We do get
Speaking
a long
of
list
of our trigger warnings.
Yeah, we got a long
and
list.
it is separated with between kinks and content warnings, which I liked.
You know,
I don't think I've seen that before. Yes.
I do also like when an author includes that this book is not a guide for BDSM and other sexual practices. Please research any new sexual activities you are considering, because, again, we get people that read it and they're like, oh, that sounds fun, and then they end up hurt or in situations that are dangerous. And,
like, I also think that, like, the male main character essentially goes through this exact arc of, like...
That's true. Like, I heard about it. That sounds fun.
Yeah. And then, like, basically just does not fully comprehend what all needs to be included in a relationship like that, regardless of how romantic your feelings are.
That's true. So the kinks that are listed are primal play, including predator and prey games, hunting, scratching, hair pulling, and biting. Rough sex, including striking, dragging, and kicking. Consensual non-consent. Forced orgasm, light breath play and choking, light degradation, both ways, light restraint, orgasm denial, oral sex, semi-public sex, spanking, transactional sex, and praise, both ways.
And then content warnings, you have brief mentions of age and appearance-related insecurities, discussion of childhood emotional abuse, discussion of hunting, infidelity by a previous partner, light alcohol consumption, light stalking, physical violence, prior death of a parent, profanity, sexual play with an inexperienced partner, no aftercare at first, and tick discovery and removal, which was a wild way to end this list.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a bad inclusion.
To anybody,
some people get really skeeved by that.
To anybody who's not local to New England, welcome.
Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty common.
If you've never lived in or near the woods.
Right.
The reviews for this were not as high. I mean, they were in the 4s, but not as high as I was expecting them to be. A 4.2 on Amazon. So a 5-star on Amazon says must read right now. This book right here is one hell of a ride. I'm usually a fantasy reader. This was my first jump into anything non-magic. Whoa. And I couldn't be more thankful. From the first page, the story moves at a pace that allows you to devour it. Each page is something new. There are dual point of views, giving us a jump into Shane, the mailman main character's head. It's not every other chapter, but just at the right times. Primal play was a new trope for me and has moved up the list quickly. He falls first. She's just working a job, but quickly falls too. Allie Oleander writes flawlessly. She writes with ease of mind, allowing you to read and read between the lines at the same time. The spice is spicing hard in this book. The spice chapters are in abundance. It's not uncomfortable spice either. It's comforting given the primal play aspect. Highly recommend to anyone interested in dark romance and primal play. I don't know that I would call this dark romance, but someone else did that too.
I mean, it's a little bit of dark romance.
Yeah,
he's kind of stalking her.
That's true.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
unless we forget.
yeah, we're gonna have what we lovingly refer to as a burly bear man intervention at some point with this. I'm gonna sit down and be like, Shane, honey, we got to talk about your coffee shop trips. We got to talk about this, honey, because it's not a good look. It's not a good look.
So this 3-star kind of cracked me up because I could not. Well, the first part. So if it's a book, it needs a plot, is what it says. And then Kane and Shane, please. And I did have that same thought, like the names. So that review also says the book was clearly just meant to be sex scenes, but needed characters to make it a book. It feels like the characters are so flat that they only exist so the writer can write sex scenes. I need more plot than this. Sorry. Which is crazy.
This person's never read a romance.
The same book.
Like, just because the plot is literally the characters figuring out that they like each other is
that's romance.
Part and parcel for the romance genre. Like, this is I disagree.
I agree.
I'm getting worked up, but I disagree.
I agree with your disagreement.
You're not always going to be able to, you're not always going to have Dostoevsky between dick scenes. I'm sorry. It's just not. What do you want? This is a 600-page novel, but they bone every 10 pages. Like, no.
A 4-star on Goodreads says, feral, addictive. I couldn't put this down. If you love your romance, dark, primal, and utterly unput-downable, this book will ruin you in the best way. If you're craving a dark, taboo romance that blends spice, danger, and surprising sweetness, this book belongs on your to-be-read. This is an author I'll be following closely because if this is her debut, I can't wait to see what she does next. The only surprising thing to me about this review is that this is Allie Oleander's debut.
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
That's incredible.
It was a nice jump. It was a nice first outing. It really was.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And finally, a 1-star on Goodreads. Did not finish around 30% of the way in. A primal play story where a woman needs to run in the woods, and when the boss of her ex-husband, a stranger, catches her, he fucks her. This started pretty fun, but the actual smut scenes were vanilla, straight to the point, and boring. The story itself became really repetitive, and this should have worked so much better as a novella. Also, $30K for a month of unlimited sex isn't a lot of money.
Disagree. Also, it's not unlimited. It's like we only get like
he
doesn't even do it every day.
It's a respectful amount. I'm sitting here going,
it's almost like relationship amount. Like it's every couple days. It's not like he's like, let me go for a hunt in the morning before I go to work, and then again when I get home. Yeah.
Again, I mean, we're really putting that CNC label in there just in case, because there is no point where he's just like, oh, you're in the middle of eating breakfast? Too bad.
Run!
Like
In
right
fact,
here
I
on the
think there's
table,
like
right next to your eggs. No, it just doesn't happen,
No.
People have different.
Also, 30% in. Like, I feel like you could have only seen like 1 or 2 sex scenes at that point.
And one of them, she throws herself off the roof.
This is true. She did have the. You at least got the stunt double portion of the book before you were out. And
I mean, I guess to be fair, if like you read that scene and you're like, this is not for me, then the rest of the book's probably not going to do it for you.
I don't know how you get 30% of the way into this novel and not go, I want to read to the end to see whether or not they end up hunting the ex-husband for sport. Like,
right?
Because I was on board the entire time going, the most dangerous game. Let's have it happen.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh my
Well,
God.
if you want to read this before you listen, there will
we
be
highly recommend that you do.
Yes, absolutely. There is a link in our show notes for this one. We will be going through the full plot of the book. There will be lots of spoilers. There will be lots of education. And we will be right back here waiting for you after you read to hear what we have to say. Ready to
Hurry
get into it?
back. Yes, please. Oh, man. From the very beginning, I feel like Oleander does an amazing job with just setting a scene because she introduces Claire and she's nervous. And it's like the first sentence is so good. Nerves make me slam my truck door too hard. The sound shattering the stillness and announcing my arrival before I'm ready. Like, oh, it's so good. And so you're immediately like, I'm nervous. She drives a truck. And it's like, my pickup seems out of place in front of the sprawling Victorian home, a blemish on an otherwise perfect face. Like, all of this does a great job of like setting this scene of like she is like well outside of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
And we're getting right into it. Like, for how this started, I also was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Because, like, from the description and the trigger warnings and the kinks listed at the front, and then, like, these first 3 paragraphs culminating in, for the next 30 days, I'm no longer Claire, the recently divorced physical education teacher. I'm prey. Like, it feels like it's going to be really, really intense. And you get the sense that Claire thinks it's going to be really, really intense. And then we slowly start to meet the male main character. And you're like, what's going on here?
It had Beast in the West Wing, like Bruce Wayne vibes.
Also
Very
Bruce
quick.
Wayne vibes. Yep.
Because you're like, I was waiting for the whole, you don't go into the West Wing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's forbidden. But yeah, I also appreciate that. Like,
One thing that I did really, really like about this, which I feel like we don't see that often. Maybe I'm not reading the right types of books, but I feel like I don't see it very often. Both main characters have experimented with primal play before. Neither one of them is new to the kink, and I think that has you coming in on slightly more even footing than we often see, where one partner is kind of like, oh, like, let me teach you how this works kind of a thing. And I really liked that, especially for a female main character, for something like this, which I really liked that she used to be hunted by her ex-husband and really enjoyed it and like wanted to continue exploring it. I feel like that was a really nice ad that made a lot of this feel like it felt safer for some reason.
It was a little more empowering on her side of things, where it's like she had been wronged by her ex-husband and they used to do this, but she wanted to continue to do it because she enjoyed it, not because she was doing it because it was something he wanted.
Yes.
So it gives her back that empowerment a little bit too, I think.
well, and
I
she
completely agree.
in ways she's more experienced than he is.
Yeah. Yes.
Because she's done this for the love of the game, but he discovered it. And then he's like, oh, this might be something I'm into. And then tried to do it with 2 other people who didn't have experience.
Yeah.
So
True.
he's kind of, as the quote-unquote aggressor in this situation, he's on the off foot. She's got way more experience and is way more knowledgeable about this than he is. So it's a weird equilibrium, which has a really nice feel to it, but is very reflective of kind of primal play anyway, but we'll get into that a little later.
So we do find out that the male main character is Claire's ex-husband's boss. He's a partner at this law firm, which is like the ultimate fuck you, and I loved it
really,
so
really
much.
is.
So tasty.
And he has offered her $30,000 for 30 days of being his prey, which for that person to say $30,000 for a month of unlimited sex, it doesn't end up being unlimited, but like, who says that's not a lot of money?
$30,000 is a lot of money to make
For
in a single
some
month.
people, that's a year's salary.
Yes.
Well,
correct.
she's what? She's paying off student loans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's convenient that that's the amount of money she needs to pay off her student loans, and we will find out why that is.
Indeed. But we'll get to that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We also do get details to make you hate her ex-husband with a passion. One of Keith's numerous lies echoes in my head. We'd pay off his loan first since the interest was higher, then start working on mine. The fall before last, we made the final payment on his loan, and he started sleeping with someone at the firm. Like, oh, just stab the knife in a little deeper, why don't you? Like, it's such a perfect amount of visceral hatred.
I didn't catch the trigger warning about real life horror in
Right.
you're like, oh, this feels a little too it's a little too close to home for some people. Like, I've heard this story before.
Yeah, mood. But it says, our marriage struggled along for another year before I discovered the affair and gave myself a divorce for Christmas. The gift every 35-year-old woman wants after 11 years of marriage and putting a man through law school. Like, choose you!
This is another really great way of kind of cementing her more of a reality too, because she's 35, all right? She's got a job, she has friends, she's got this figured out. She's, you know, it's great. I love fully, there's such dimensionality to the character, and it's wonderful. I appreciated it.
And that's also, like, because she's settled in her job, she's got a full life, it also makes it going into this situation where, like, they are on even playing fields. Despite the fact that he's a partner in a law firm and he's making a lot more money, like, she's not some naive young co-ed coming into it, like, with stars in her eyes, hoping that he's gonna fall in love with her.
Right.
You know, like,
we could have gotten this perspective from Margot, who we're going to meet in a second, who had a little crush on her boss, tried out the Primal play thing, and then it wasn't for her. Like, you're so right, both of you, in that, like, Claire is an adult. Yeah. Like, she is an adult who is well-rounded, and she doesn't need a man to complete her. She doesn't need, like, someone to guide her through the kink, through a relationship. Like, she's got her shit figured out. She knows what she wants, and she kind of, like, or at least she knows what she doesn't want. Yeah. And that, I feel like, is a huge part of the battle.
Yes, it is.
And I do like, especially, that she is a people pleaser. And this spoke to my soul because she meets Margot. And Margot is at first very intimidating. She is very put together, and she is not particularly smiley or welcoming. And it says, I nod, wanting to turn on the cheerfulness that's second nature after years as a teacher. My instinct is always to ease the tension, smooth over an awkward situation, make everybody happy. I'm trying to work on my people-pleasing tendencies. They haven't done much for me. Turns out, never rocking the boat doesn't mean you're a great sailor. Only means it takes longer to learn who will toss you overboard at the first sign of rough waters.
I loved this. Also, I hated it at the same time. Because I'm seeing myself in this story, and I did not consent to it. Thank you very much.
Personally attacked. Two pages in.
Did not go easy in chapter 1. No, not at all. It's just like, we're going to lay it all out here.
Yeah.
Well, but that was another thing, because you have the well-to-do, put-together personal assistant, and you're like, okay, is this going to be like, we've seen this trope before. Yeah. And then it is very much bucked, really quickly, where it's like, okay, we're getting a lot of different approaches here that are really well thought out, and it was really nice and refreshing. Like, so all of it, it's tight, it's cohesive. The plot, there is a lot of plot, but it is streamlined to an effect that is really nice and really refreshing. Because you could have bloated out an extra 100 pages here in order to kind of like build, and you didn't. So
yeah, I agree.
So we do get that Margot is kind of giving her the rundown for what this is going to look like. She hands her a smartwatch and says, this is how he's going to summon you for a hunt. You will get the word run and then a number, and that number is how many minutes of a head start you are going to get. And she asks Margot, like, why are you explaining this to me? Almost, and still in the people pleasing, like, hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Well,
why are you telling me and not him?
She does kind of be like, hey, girl to girl, what's going on here?
So Margot is like clearly very uncomfortable, and she's like, he prefers minimal contact with prey outside of hunting sessions. Now we're told this, and it makes it seem like he's been doing this forever.
Yes.
But there's been 2 other people, and then we do get that Shane had hunted Margot one time, and that she used the safe word immediately once he caught her.
Yes.
She thought she wanted to do it because she thought her boss was hot. Yep. I mean, it's not a good idea.
No, but like, we've all made mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
And
this is what safe words are for, right?
And that's what safe words are for.
I'm in too deep. Now's the time.
But also, I love how different this mailman character is, because we get a lot of information about him in this first chapter that ends up being very misleading, that will get kind of corrected the more we see from his perspective. But, like, especially, too, like, Margot as a character being like, nope, I realized this isn't for me, and, like, continued to work for him.
Yeah.
And, like, we're chill. And Claire's like, this is kind of bad. Like, that's a bad working relationship, right? Like, what the fuck? But, like, it all feels weirdly realistic. I don't know. I don't, like, for how kind of, like, odd the situation is, like, the people feel like real people who make mistakes and then talk through it and then, like, come to a somewhat understandable, like, steady state without being caricatures of humans that you so often get in romance novels.
Also, she used a safe word immediately, so nothing actually happened between them sexually. Basically, he just ran after her through the woods.
True. Very true. So we also get the information that the 2 previous women that he hired did not make it very long. And
also that they were sex workers.
That they were sex workers. They were professionals. Yes.
And we didn't demonize them.
No.
We did not.
Yeah.
Sex
work is work.
Real work, folks.
Sex work is
100%.
Yeah, so the 2 previous women did not make it long into the month. Margot tells Claire he got rid of them the first after a week, the second after 1 hunt. She misreads the horror on my face. He fired them, Claire. He didn't hurt them. And Claire is like, I mean, maybe my first thought should have been fear that he'd killed them and would therefore kill me too, but it wasn't. It was the thought that I might not make the money. Like, which is incredible.
Desperate times.
Desperate times, desperate measures, etc. Well, so Margot is kind of intimating to Claire why she thinks it didn't work out before, because Claire's like, girl, I really need the money, so, like, I need you to give me tips. Like, how do I last the full 30 days? And Margot says, you need to be hard to catch. He wants an actual hunt. If he catches you too easily, he'll get bored. He didn't say it explicitly, but I think that was the problem with the others. They were professionals, but they had never done anything like this before. And so, like, we get that, like, Margot's interpretation of events. And Claire really takes this to heart. She was like, okay, so this man needs a challenge. Also, something that I found interesting is that Claire stands 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
She's a sturdy 6 feet, and Shane has to outweigh me by at least 60 pounds. Upon introduction...
Sometimes a girl just wants to feel small.
Yeah. Even a tall girl.
Especially the tall girls.
Yes. And
sometimes you just need somebody to make you realize you are, in fact, pick up and spinnable. Just,
100%.
It's nice.
And that's okay.
So when she first met Shane was at a Christmas party 2 years ago where Keith got hammered and told his bosses and coworkers about the hunting trip that they'd taken over Thanksgiving, which is mortifying, by the way. And she, yeah. So every single detail you learn about him, you're like, fuck this guy. Anyway, so her first impression of Shane is, so that's how Khal Drogo would look, shaved and in a suit. And then, holy shit, he is bad at small talk.
I have to say, if I didn't use Jason Momoa like 2 weeks ago as I would pay $30,000 to have Jason Momoa chase me through the woods, I think.
Girls, same. All right. Just cuz. It's just like, are you into this? No, but we can cuddle. Okay. Hey, Jason. But
see, even you want to feel small sometimes.
This is what I'm saying. Like, listen, bro hugs are bro hugs, okay? It's like, gotta get some meaty arms around you and go, okay, I'm safe. The world is comfy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hold me, Jason Momoa, and make all my stress go away. But that was the problem. I was like, oh, that was the least subtle thing about it. Was like, okay, you're laying out, this is clean cut Jason Momoa. We get it. Okay, perfect. And then I was like, okay, but who would I cast in this part if it wouldn't be Jason Momoa? I would have to go in a completely different direction. Anyway, so
we'll get there. I can't wait.
So we also get a mention of the folder that Margot gives. Claire has all of the information that she'll need, including the Wi-Fi and streaming service passwords, along with a copy of Shane's STI panel, and, interestingly, Claire's safe word, which I found strange, because usually I feel like one picks their own safe word.
Yeah.
Coming into an arrangement like this.
Generally, yes.
Right? But he gives her one, and we will learn later what it is and why. But we also now get a mention of Sydney, the best friend, who... Claire says, when I first confided in her about Shane's offer, she tried to dissuade me. Sydney is certain that moving in with a man who hunts women for sexual sport is a fast track to having true crime podcasters talk about how my smile lit up the room.
Hey, who did I think of when I was reading this part of it? You, 100%. I was like, oh, because I would be Claire. Like,
Yes!
Everybody needs...
And Elle would be like, okay, are you out of your damn mind? Absolutely not.
Correct.
You're crazy,
Sydney
but also
100%.
I'm going to need details.
Yeah.
Afterwards. Like, we're going to say we're going to talk.
There's no such thing as TMI.
There you go. Oh my God.
So she's given a whistle. If you need to end the hunt before he's found you, blow the whistle. He'll have one too. If you win the hunt, he'll use it to let you know he's calling it. And Claire's like, I can win, which spoke to my soul. And then we get, I assume he told you that he doesn't do aftercare, which, like, this strangely was the first red flag. There should have been more before this, but this was a red flag to me.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, it's kind of at odds with what we get later, because she's specifically saying he doesn't do aftercare, which would say that he understood what aftercare meant, which he doesn't really understand.
Description of it. No, and like he'd gotten a description of it, like a cursory description from one of the professionals that he'd worked with before. And like that was like all he got was like this idea of like, oh, you gotta cuddle afterwards kind of a thing. And he's like, and that sounds like emotionally complicating a situation, and I don't want to do that.
That's fair.
But like I think he has the instinct for it, even though he doesn't know what it means. And he will educate himself later. But yeah, this isn't great.
It makes him unrelatable,
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, okay, how much are we from a first chapter standpoint? You've got a character who's already standoffish and has, like we said, kind of that Bruce Wayne, that Beast in the West Wing kind of. He's up there, he's lofty, and their first interaction really kind of like sows a little bit more of that. And this creates kind of an inhumane air to him, but it also, I mean, from a writer standpoint, it gives him a hurdle to clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gives him evolution.
Yes.
Further down the road. So like, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Because personally, I'm like, oh, you know, especially given how, when you're looking to have this level of interaction, when you're looking to have kind of that ferocity to it, when you're looking to have that, like an STI panel, which means there are going to be fluids. Get ready. You know, there's going to fluids everywhere. No, but just being that upfront about all of that information and having that, but also knowing exactly what extent you're looking to have this, and not being able to be like, oh, can I find some way of offering words of affirmation or doing a mental health check-in or something, like just putting the blanket, no aftercare. It creates such a weird, sharp angle where there didn't need to be one.
I think what's interesting to me is that I think that I've met people like Shane. Like, I know people like Shane who approach life in this kind of way. And I think that for me, this character felt not as like standoffish as I think like he does to a lot of other people, because I understand exactly who this man is. Like, I understand his like analytical view of the world and the desire to put like constraints on things to keep things from getting messy, to like have what he hopes is going to be a safe like box in which to experience a thing and then put it away and not have to deal with it. Like, this is very normal, and this is also very textbook complex PTSD from like a childhood trauma perspective. This is how you deal with the world, is like you identify patterns that have caused you, for better or for worse, have brought like problems upon you. You learn how to deal with them, and you start making structures that you can exist within that are predictable. It makes sense to me that he became a lawyer. Like, all of this makes sense to me, and like I thought it was extremely endearing to like get to experience it from his perspective and get to a point where he starts to understand exactly what he's dealing with, and feelings coming into the mix and not knowing how to deal with them. Like, I loved this. I thought it was really, really, really well done. And like and I think for me it's because I know men like Shane.
It also gave him, again, but it also sets him up for an evolution. And
for character growth.
He's more of the character who needs the growth, because in a lot of these situations, in a lot of novels like this, you don't see that from the male protagonist.
No. And like, I don't think Claire grows at all. Like, Claire's already in her element. She's already figured out what she deserves. She's already kind of like established that she's going to choose herself. She does it over and over again. Like, she does not change. She makes the same choices. I think that Claire is a great main character, but she's not actually the main character because she doesn't grow.
She heals a little bit more.
She heals a little bit more.
But she doesn't have this big growth. Also, the main character vibe that Shane gives off is what makes me, as a human that reads romance novels think a closed off man
I can fix him.
can be a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
So these types of books are not good for my going out into the world.
What was nice, though, too, was that, and I know we don't get into it right away, but it presents itself later on, is the dual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have chapters where you're switching that perspective.
Yeah.
So it's not really, this isn't really so much a main protagonist situation as it is an ensemble situation.
Right.
And you are able to get those little hints of the back and forth from personal perspective,
Yep.
which change the narrative and do allow for some areas where you're kind of like, oh, God, no. There's a little bit more room for awkwardness because it's in Shane's personal space or in Claire's personal space, as opposed to just blurt it out every single time something needs to be said in order to move things forward.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So.
I'm interested because I know how we feel about a female perspective being written by a man.
Mm-hmm.
And how it never seems realistic or good.
Rarely. It rarely seems.
Listen, as a writer, it petrifies me. I mean, not because I feel like I'm not capable of doing it justice, just because, there has been female protagonists written by male authors, and that's failed
miserably in some cases. Yeah.
I think writing a male perspective, Shane at times pissed me off.
Okay.
Stuff that he does pisses me off. Opinions.
Is it because it's not realistic as a woman writing a man, or is it
No,
because
I think
he
what
as a
it is-
character makes bad decisions?
I think what it is that I think based on societal cues, it's very easy to look at some of the stuff that Shane does and goes, oh, this is behavior that a man would undertake. I think based on some of this unresolved trauma of his youth, I think he has a very removed approach. I think there's some stuff that's handled because there is a real fear of intimacy or emotional resonance or empathy. And so while as somebody who has, not bragging, but as somebody who's conquered therapy.
Because therapy is something that you conquer.
Professional
for sure.
over here. No, as you want to see that growth. You want to hope for the best. For the characters that you empathize with, the characters you sympathize with, the ones that speak to you as a person. Claire's fucking awesome in this book. I think that there's one point in the book where I went, oh, Claire, no, girl, honey.
Yes.
But besides that, I think well-adjusted, emotionally resonant, understands herself. At no point is shamed. Is pissed off at the ex-husband, is never shamed by her kink.
Yep.
Right? Owns it.
Yeah.
Loves it. Appreciates it. Shane makes some choices, but none of those choices are ones that I have not seen other guys make in the real world. And you kind of go, oh, but these are the things that we can learn from, right? Yeah. I would rather seen her completely, Claire being a plateaued character, growing through the process and learning something about herself, but also learning something about, where her life was going to go. I think for Claire, it was more the hero's journey kind of situation. Not to put too much of a framework on it, but she was like, okay, here I am. I'm at a low point. I need to find what I'm doing, how I want to build my life out and go forward. But she knows who she is. There's no dip. There's no moment of questioning. It's just, it is. Shane having those moments of doubt and being that awkward human being, even though he's like, oh, he's independently wealthy and he can pay her for 30 days and ooh, but also being like, I don't know how to TV. What is reality television? Yeah. Why am I into reality? I was like, dude, I've been there. Same brother. You're speaking to my heart. And being like, oh, I don't know how to flirt. Rich. He does not know how to
boy.
You need a lesson or 12. Like, but given his background, that makes sense.
But also,
So-
this is another one of those times where, like, for the right person,
Mm-hmm.
his not knowing how to flirt works. Yes.
So we
All
meet
right.
Shane, dark foreboding, sitting in a corner in a
It's so creepy.
like not helping yourself there, guy. Not.
Yeah.
My dude.
So
Yep.
Claire takes a shower. This is day 1. Yes.
Day 1. Mm-hmm.
She takes a shower. She's thinking to herself, like, what if I can't do this? I mean, we've all gotten to that point.
Yep.
And then what if he causes irreparable psychological or physical damage?
Yeah.
Especially with the no aftercare thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's a possibility that you're setting yourself up for. And she gets out of the shower, wraps herself up in a towel, and there he is, sitting in the dark in the chair in her room.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great.
It was not great. And she's like, did you summon me? Because she's like, I was in the shower. Did I fuck up already? And he's like, no, I didn't. And she goes, okay. And he's like, are you curious why I'm here? Because she's like, I want to ask why he's in here, but it's his house, so technically he can be anywhere. And she goes, yeah, Margot said you don't spend much time with prey outside of the woods. And he goes, I don't, but I decided to sample what I'll be hunting. It'll make the chase more enjoyable.
No.
And she thinks, sir, this is not a Costco.
Just fantastic.
And sampling wasn't in the contract. Both very incredible, perfect thoughts.
I had such a Southern Belle moment. Sir, this is not a Costco. Like,
It's
okay.
like the opposite energy of Sir, this is a Wendy's, and I
Yeah.
really liked it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was I loved it.
It's so good. But he's like, he moves right along and says, do you know your safe word and cue to submit? And she's like, yep, it was in the paperwork. Like, wanderlust is my safe word. If he says yield, I submit. And he says, good, get on the bed. And she is like, make me.
Which, this was a test that she passed, knowing that he doesn't want an easy conquest, if you will.
Indeed.
She passed it. He didn't say yield, so she's still supposed to be running. I don't know. Like, for this, the stranger aspect of it threw me at first. Because for something like this, I feel like there needs to be some element of trust.
Uh-huh.
And despite the contract, it just, like...
The good news is that she thinks he's hot.
Yeah, great news.
Like, I mean, sorry, I said that
well,
so matter of fact.
That's gotten me into a pickle once or twice.
Welcome,
I do
welcome
mean,
to
like-
the Danny DeVito factor. Does he look like Danny DeVito? Could he pull it off if he did?
This is a good test. But my point is, like, we are in her head, and so we know that she finds him very attractive.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what is happening here is she gets kind of like caught in his eyes, and she thinks, shit, maybe that's why the others got fired. He's so hot, they forgot they were supposed to run. And so, like, she fucking turns it on, bolts into the bathroom, locks the door behind her, and starts figuring out her options. And he starts kicking down the damn door.
Which is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
I'm thinking as somebody who's
just
done
says a
woodworking,
corner.
like try explaining that to your carpenter. Like the
I
damage.
mean,
Well,
I
I
get the
mean-
sense that he's got lots of money. He's just
Yeah.
gonna buy a new door and call it a day.
This is the okay. I loved how clean a read this was. I loved how everything was like succinct. It was really well flushed out. There was a couple of things, and here's the thing: how hard does she like to get hit? How hard does she like to get bit? How is she okay with scratching? How deep is she comfortable with it? There's a test, okay?
Yeah.
Here's a simple thing. Anybody who doesn't know, okay, here's a Primal 101. You want to figure out whether or not somebody's okay with you biting. Take their hand, the soft tissue of their hand right here, put it in your mouth. Start biting down, making complete eye contact the entire time. And when they're uncomfortable, read their face, but also wait for them to tell you that's as hard as you can go. Because you're setting that limitation. Like, I don't know that they did any of that work beforehand. We know that there's a contract, which is a lot more than some people do. Right?
But it was a contract that he wrote. So,
Exactly.
like, without
And she has
seemingly
she
any
has
of her
that
input.
remorse. She has that legal remorse where it's like, I should have had a third party involved, which she should have. Like,
she absolutely should
girl,
have.
LegalZoom is there. Like, let us. But just being able to have that to bounce off of somebody else, not even just necessarily somebody legally minded, just somebody who can read it and comprehend the contract and be like, okay, shouldn't you, like, maybe you need to go back to the well on this. Did they have any sit down interactions beforehand to discuss any of this stuff? Because that's a really, finding the trust in order to find the release is a big part of this process.
Yeah.
Being comfortable enough to have your limitations pushed is a big part of this process. And I don't know that work was done. And that's where my brain gets into the hair. Like, novel's hot. Interactions are hot. Everything is cool. I loved it. But there are a couple of big question marks that I just, as a primal minded individual, just,
which is why it's not a guide to the lifestyle. Like, even having a contract is not good enough if you didn't both have input, if you didn't have the sit down, if you don't, like, because it's one thing, like, we do get mentions like throughout the story of like what's mentioned in the contract, what's not, and like it's like biting and scratching was part of the deal. But like, to your point, there is more than just like, it's not binary. There's a level of each of those things. But I will also say that for the purposes of fiction, like, we continue to get the indication from her side that this is welcome. So for me, the thought of someone kicking a door down to get at me is not hot. I would have a panic attack. But for her, it says, heat builds low between my hip bones, the destruction a dysfunctional aphrodisiac. He wants me bad enough to kick down his door. That awareness brings a different kind of rush. It's an affirmation, a physical answer to the question, how far would you go to have me? And we're going to keep getting this affirmation that she likes this, that she likes being chased. She likes the amount of physicality, the amount of violence. Like, she wants this directed at her.
She doesn't. She could. Safe word. That's it.
Yeah.
She could, but she doesn't.
She could.
Yep.
She finds a space in which this is empowering, is self-affirming, but also scratches that itch, and so she proceeds.
Yeah.
She has, having that established, having the safe word established, having the yield established, having those in place are far and away something that needs to always be in place. Making sure that it's there, so that I don't care how good it's getting, I don't care how dirty it's getting, I don't care how rough it is. The second that word gets uttered, you okay? We can. You need to be able to switch it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some people don't know that the switch exists, and so Claire having that ability, Claire being like, he's kicking down the door. This could be the horror movie, but it's hot, so I'm gonna keep letting it go. And then nobody made her go out the window.
No,
Girl goes
that's
out the
true.
window. Girl goes out the window by herself. Is just like, you know what? This is the next step to my plan. Am I possibly, evolving the fantasy? Am I possibly building upon something I know about myself? Am I comfortable taking it to this level of risk? Yes. So boom, let's go.
Yeah.
And when it stops, it stops. Yep. Could she have stopped it at any point? Yes.
Right.
So
It's interesting that we don't ever see her use her safe word.
yeah.
But
we also don't see her push to see if she can make him safe word. Too
That's
much.
true.
So there's not. So
We do get her acknowledging that she knows it and that
Yes.
she could say it if she wanted to. I think for me, reading this, like, being someone who would not do well in this situation, I think, like, for me, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed all of this.
Yeah.
Because I did not want to be in her shoes, but I was so successfully brought along for the ride because she was constantly thinking, I could safe word out, I don't want to. I enjoy this. I am so wet right now, etc., etc., etc. And like, I think that as a work of fiction for me, like, not having any predilection towards this kink, like, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was, like, pretty well done, all things considered.
Also, there's one scene later on where, like, I question at what point does the ability to use the safe word end? Like, and we'll get to that, but one of the last scenes where they're out in the rain, like, she almost should have used the safe word after they were done because she was not okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that becomes... But that's also, I mean, doesn't that fall into more of the aftercare situation?
Right. So, like,
Yeah.
and we'll get to it because he does end up doing that. So, like, it's interesting to me where it's like, oh, well, she could have said it then. And
this
then
is good. But this is good because this creates the conversations, right?
Yeah.
This creates the room for you to have the conversations with not only, like, the three of us are having this conversation. There are people watching this who are evolving this conversation too. We'll have this conversation with other friends. We'll have it with play friends. We'll have it with partners. We'll have, like, so leaving those little wiggle rooms, leaving that space for you to kind of ask the questions, fill in the gaps, like, that's where... That's kind of the sweet spot too, because there's some works of fiction where you're like, oh no, it's all in the book. Let's leave it there. But this, and that's another thing about Primal too. How often do you see representations of this?
Never.
You get kind of like, those moments where it kind of is implied almost. You have those moments where it's almost like broached, but it's never really named. And so being able to have, and that's why when you guys were like, oh, we have a Primal piece, I was like, yes, because having Shane kick down a door, that's the contained tussle. We can't go, I don't know about y'all, but it is 5 degrees Fahrenheit here right now. So
cold outside.
So it's like, yeah, let's go do a brisk half mile to find a nice little clearing. No, that's not. But if we want to be able to evolve a scene tonight, the easiest option is more of an animalistic tussle in the living room, something with a little bit of a tumble and a rough and tumble, than it is you going to the extremes of running barefoot through the woods. This is where this space kind of runs into a couple of complications, because you have stuff like you mentioned. There's a warning about tick removal, ticks, and
we'll get an
poison
encounter
ivy
with a bear.
And
I was gonna say maybe we should have had the bear encounter in there too.
could you safe word the bear?
No.
So we do get, and we can continue this conversation as we get to those scenes too. So we do get that she's running across the roof, and then when he realizes that she goes out the window, he's like, ah, shit, and runs out the other way, not to follow her out to the roof. So he ends up getting her around the waist as she's trying to get off of the roof, which then ends up with her on the ground. She falls off the roof.
Yes.
Now, I used to live in a Victorian-style home, so, like, I'm picturing that front porch.
Yeah.
Is it a fall I want to take and then get up and sprint somewhere else after? Absolutely the fuck not.
So many bruises.
Yeah. Concussion, like, no way.
She takes it like a champ. She is basically, she's like, all right, I gotta keep moving. So he's got his arms wrapped around her. She's like, oh, this feels so good. Wait, I'm supposed to be running. She slams the back of her head into his nose, which gives him a bloody nose, and then starts running. And he still manages to catch her. And he pins her wrist above her head and says, do you need your safe word? And like, okay, all right. And she says, no. And he says, good. And he immediately starts touching and feeling and goes, you're wet. And she doesn't say anything. And he goes, you like this? And she says, I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Well, duh. Like,
yeah.
This is it. Is this a reaffirm? Like, because again, the only other people he's done this with
did not really like it.
That's
thank
true.
you. So this is the first situation where, and he's heard anecdotes that support this.
Yeah.
From shitty ex-husband. may he trip over every crack in the cement. But but now he's interacting with somebody who, think about what just happened. She fell from a roof after climbing out a window. He kicked in, and
she's
her,
still turned on.
yeah, do you need your safe word? Because one, he's like, okay, at this point, there's been people who have safe worded out of this situation.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
But not only does she not, but this is enhancing the situation for her. This is turning her on. And so now he's like, read that line. And again, this is me reading it and going, I know exactly how this is said. This is, you're wet. Like, this is me going, oh, okay, yeah, you're still into this. And being like driven forward. And that's where the smirk starts forming on your face. Like, oh, okay, this is going exactly how it's supposed to go.
Game on.
Game on, yes.
So
yeah.
So she realizes though that like he still has not said yield. So she's still supposed to be fighting, and she thinks, oh no, help, not the sexy lumberjack lawyer. Not his magic fingers. Ah. Fantastic.
It's so good.
But we also have a situation where it doesn't automatically turn into full-on penetrative sex. Which
much to her dismay.
Much to her dismay.
But
she does think, can I use the safe word for not enough? If I say wanderlust, will he make me come? Which I quite liked.
That's kind of a nice turn to it too, because, everybody always thinks, oh, the male protagonist has got one drive and one drive only. And but him being able to like stave that off, him being able to be
to show
a little
restraint,
bit reserved, but also, it touched my primal heart a little bit, because he's like, I'm gonna leave her hanging, and then just be like, because he does, and I'm sure her physical cues are giving it away to him, but he still just gets to a point and he's just like, nope, we're done. And no, I protest. I protest so hard. Lumberjack lawyer has me pinned. I need things to finish. Thank you very much. Good to know what side of the fence you're on this one.
But I do like that she goes, think about the money, not the way he curled his fingers like he was petting. And then that's when he's like, all right, I'm out. Like, we get so often in books, so like pistoning his fingers in and out, and you're like, that is not what any woman wants to hear or have performed. So like this was also like, okay, Allie Oleander.
you for a fact. He's got the G-spot curl going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be good when we get it. So
he's applying that clitoral pressure, and you're just going, oh no, he's got this on lock, and he stopped. Why? Oh God.
Wait, where are you going, sir? So he leaves her there in the front yard, unsatisfied. And
with the wind still slightly knocked out of her.
Yeah, true. And she ends up not making herself come out of spite. And she's going to bed that night.
I can be spiteful too, but no. No.
But
you're being spiteful against yourself.
Yeah.
But then there's the juxtaposition where
he did not.
We flip the predator into being completely and utterly he falters completely. Right? Yeah. He's like, I can't believe the drive. I can't believe the passion. I had to, he fucks himself
several times.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, that was just so hot. But does he do it right there in front of her? No. Would she appreciated it from what she says? Yes. But there is kind of that. It's funny because you have this sense, like you said, the lumberjack lawyer, the Jason Momoa clean cut, and he's huge and he's massive and he's burly and he can kick down a door. But then you go straight into him talking about, oh man, I was completely lost. I couldn't control myself. Like I'm just and having that vulnerability in that second. There's that wonderful rounded humanist, it's a human being here.
Yeah. We also are getting more of that development where like we've been set up to think that he is cold and just is in this for the sex and like he just wants he wants the hunt and whatever, and then we're starting to get that like, oh no, he wants her.
Yeah, and
specifically
it could have just been from her perspective. The whole thing could have been one reliable narrator, but flipping that perspective and having those chapters where it goes to his voice gives you that ability to be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, he is this big rough and tumble dude who may come off like the Bruce Wayne, you know, dark foreboding, very rich and just like square jawed, but he also has those moments where you can reflect on him and the way that he's softening those sharp edges, which is nice.
And we see her ignore texts from her ex-husband to round out the evening before we first get fuck that guy. So Shane, we are put in his head and immediately are told that the narrative that we have been fed about what this man wants and what he is like is kind of almost like off the bat shattered, because it says, I can't stop thinking about her. Ever since the work Christmas party 2 years ago when her jackass of an ex-husband bragged about how they spent their holidays on erotic hunting trips, I've wanted her. So, like...
But doesn't fall in love with... But does not... Okay, and knows about the primal hunting trips, but does not fall in love with sexy cocktail dress her. Falls in love with goofy cat sweater her.
Yes.
Yeah. Like falls for goofy cat sweat, and you're like, oh my god, okay, yeah, no, she's a whole person, and you recognize that she's got a sense of humor, and you know, like
it was a Christmas party, and instead of dressing up fancy, she wore a sweater that said "Meowie Christmas."
Meowie Christmas, which I need.
But what's funny too is like her memory of that evening is humiliating because she saw what she would later learn was her husband's new girlfriend. And she was dressed very attractively. And she's like, I was trying to win the ugly sweater contest, and I was wearing this hideous sweater. And then from Shane's perspective...
She's competitive? What?
She's perfect. Everything about this is great. And fucking I loved this. He says, I tried to flirt with her. The cat sweater was a perfect conversation starter. Because from her perspective, she was like, he was weirdly obsessed with the pun on my sweater, as if I'd thought of it myself.
I mean,
I love the juxtaposition of like a socially awkward human trying to flirt and like the results of it.
It
just
doesn't
because he's a good lawyer doesn't mean he knows how to people.
Right, but also like as a whole, men don't know how to flirt.
No.
Like as the broad umbrella, there's very few that can do it effectively. So either it's the immediate, like, you're hot, let's do it, and that's flirting, or, like, I like your sweater.
I mean, I don't mind this.
So
Guys,
the other thing...
This is another episode of me apologizing for my gender.
So we do find out that he had been following her, essentially. Finding out that she, like nearly every other local educator, frequented the Green Bean, the coffee shop, made it easy to be near her. Beyond a smile and a polite hello, she never seemed to question my presence. This was like...
icky.
Oh, yeah. Hearing her vent to friends that she was worried about money gave me the perfect in. I wouldn't have to woo her, fumble through an obligatory getting to know each other phase and try to be charming on dates. I could come right out with it, make it a business arrangement. Like, this is wild behavior.
This is full on...
And he's never going to tell her. Which is, I think,
that we know of, right?
No,
like,
he thinks to himself that he's going to take it to his grave.
Tell me how to turn that into a laugh line 6 months into the relationship.
Hey, like, actually.
Hey, babe, you know,
you.
wacky story, but you're going to think this is so crazy. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but I used to stalk you at the Green Bean.
Like,
oh my God.
This is wild. Like, and I do feel like it would have been one of those things where Claire probably would have been like, proof that he is obsessed with me. You know, like some line where he could tell her and she would be like, my love, that is crazy, but also it worked out in the end, or like whatever, like something to make the main, like this like communication relationship good would have settled me a little bit. The fact that he thinks to himself that he's never going to tell her that he used to stalk her is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and it's also because we find out that, like, it would be one thing to be someplace and hope that you're going to run into somebody. Like, you know that they go someplace a bunch and you're like, well, maybe I'll run into them. But no, he would sit in the parking lot, watch her walk in with her friends, and wait to go inside.
Yeah.
And then sit there with a blank computer screen in front of him to pretend like he was doing work. Like, okay, you're going to go to the coffee shop.
Worse. Not
take
a blank
notes on
computer
her
screen.
Notes on her.
He had a document on her.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yes. I mean, it's like there's ways that could have made this way less creepy. Like, he's got to do some work, so he's going to go to the coffee shop instead of being in his office. Sure. Less stalker behavior.
Yes.
Still not ideal.
One little thing. Just one little, you could have made this the broach the subject. Show him able to hold the conversation, broach the subject, and start evolving the contract at the green bean. Just, you had it in.
Yeah.
Like, that was...
All of which is to say there's some pieces of this that are problematic. But we're going to get her first summoning, which is the next day. And she gets summoned right out of the gym, it seems like. Yep, she's fiddling around on a Stairmaster so fancy I wouldn't be surprised if it doubles as an espresso maker.
Love that.
And I love the brief initial interactions with Margot too, because she almost collides with Margot as she runs into the hall because her watch tells her she has 7 minutes, and Margot tries to say something and Claire shouts summoned and keeps running, and she goes, make him work for it. Like, it's so funny and cute, and I really liked their dynamic.
As much as she was kind of uncomfortable having the conversation with her at first, now that she sees that Claire is not bothered by any aspect of it, she's like, yes, girl, make him work for it. Remember your safe word.
Make him work for it. Yep. So the chase goes about as well as can be expected. She's learning some tricks. She accidentally makes a sound in the woods, and he hears her and starts running after her. And one thing that I really liked in this scene was, if there's one thing I've learned from horror movies, it's that you never look back at the monster chasing you. Even if the monster has great teeth and probably maxes out his 401k contributions. Even if you're kind of looking forward to being caught and secretly hoping you'll be eaten. Like, the writing was so good. It was so funny. Like, everything about this worked for me. And she, like, doesn't hear him anymore and steps out into a clearing and is like, did I lose him? And then he steps out from behind a tree trunk and she's like, fuck.
And now it is on.
And now it is on.
It is on. And this is the culmination. This is the adrenaline. This is the muscle strain. This is the moment where you check in. And you make sure you don't want, like, because again, depending on the pollen count that day, you've been running through the woods and you've gotten to a place, and all of a sudden in the stopping you realize that, like, you're so congested you can't breathe out of your face. So you do the check-in and you have that moment, but then that moment evolves into every single surface in these woods is a fuckable surface because it is about that eliminate the civilized world is back there. all of the things that bug you, that student loan, that shitty ex-husband, all of that is back there. You are here. You are out here with me. You are the object of my desire, and I have you. So now I'm going to have you until neither of us can stand up anymore. And it's that. It's that push. So very obviously the two of them start crocheting because this is a PG novel. But it is. God. It's that therein lies the attraction to the primal drive. Is that elimination of all of that, the nonsensical, the overthinking, allowing it to kind of push back there. And we could go on about the brain chemistry of it all and the fact that your fight or flight has taken over for so long at this point that now you're falling into that third F phase. Like, fight, flight. No, okay, my legs are tired, but if he pushes me onto my back, onto the ground, my legs won't be tired anymore because they'll be up in the air. So
some of our listeners may think fight, flight, or freeze, but no, that's not the third F word you're talking about.
Our third F on this one is very much fuck. But this is another thing. Like, I, as a writer, appreciate the fact that they use pussy, and they use cunt, and they use cock, and they do it in a way that, sometimes people will say those words, and they kind of, your eyes roll. But with Claire, there's a real, like, resonance. Like, there's an appreciation, there's a need, there's a want. And we're out here in the woods, and her wanting Shane's cock, wanting him, and him reciprocating with the same ferocity, with the same energy. That's the drive. That's the boilerplate for Primal Kink. That's the sale right there.
Yeah.
Is realize that you're going to lengths in order to make the rest of the world not exist. All that exists is the pleasure and that greed for you to, and that, depending on who you're playing with and how it goes, it can be very penis centric, or it can, depend, because there is the evolution of it where it inevitably will go to the term rutting, mating, breeding, and then the natural follow through of that is, okay, so there's there's full erection, there's insertion, and then there's ejaculation. So now we've got this whole process that takes place. But Shane, as he has proven in the past, is like, oh, no, I can play with you. I can turn you on. I can make you experience orgasm after orgasm before I focus on my own, which, again, is not a sales point for anybody. I don't know anybody who's interested in having more than one orgasm before the penis owner in the relationship gets off, because
no,
that is,
who wouldn't?
But that and another variation, one they didn't get to touch on, is you have the ability to catch and release is also a fun little one where you catch. Okay, I'm gonna take these clothes off at this stop. Next catch, I get to touch for 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Third catch, you have an orgasm. Fourth catch, it's full on. So being able to evolve that process. Primal has a lot of very different paths you can go on, but all of them have that fundamental basis of, this is all about the pleasure. This is all about the simplicity of physical interaction and what that intimacy can bring about, and not limiting yourself to it. So if you need to bite down on a shoulder, trust me, you go, everything all said and done, and you're kind of like, why is my shoulder so, oh, there's no cool. Okay, cool. And you being able to be in the moment and express yourself in a way that's not going to be hindered by that is just, this book this is a great intro. Yeah. Because the two of them are into it. The two of them are in the right setting. It's optimal. Shane has it. The two of them have this. At least they touch upon certain things. The tick removal, the sunscreen. Making sure that you're wearing those mosquito bracelets is a good idea. Having all of these. There are elements to it that are a little less glamorous then I, had a partner
Yeah.
who got poison oak all over.
Oh.
All over.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No,
And
Nick.
you're just
No.
like, yeah, no. And you're just like, okay, so this is why you walk trails. This is why you make sure the areas are safe, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is a little bit more of an elaborate process in the real world. These two being able to do it in the book, you have that catch-all of fantasy, you the catch-all of fiction, where it's like,
Yeah.
of course there's no poison oak or ivy.
Yeah.
Of course the mosquito population in Maine isn't there.
She's wearing
Like,
bug spray.
She
Yes,
is
to be
wearing
fair.
bug spray.
and sunscreen, and again, perfect.
Yep.
Even those little mentions, one little mention of bug spray or sunscreen, and you're like, yes,
Yep.
excellent.
So he catches her, has not yet said yield, and he asks her if she's wet, and she's like, no.
She lies to it.
So he pulls her pants down, calls her bluff, slaps her ass. All of it very well done.
Yep.
And then says, don't you ever lie to me. His reprimand is dominating Primal. I can't reconcile it with the polite, awkward lawyer who enjoys cat puns.
Golden retriever in the streets, werewolf in the sheets. I'm sorry, it
great.
happens.
It's great. But I think what also is very interesting here is we get her first and I think last, internal pushback against this. Because Margot's warning returns. He's different in the woods. She's right. He's terrifying. And it says, a voice inside me is screaming, I cannot do this. Fuck the voice. It was wrong then. It's wrong now. This may be my first time with Shane, but it isn't my first time doing this. I know what I'm doing. I know I like this, love this. He's not the only one who's different in the woods. I am different. And I really liked this.
Yeah.
I liked this choosing of the part of her that is wilder, hungrier, there's something that she wants and she wants it hard. And it's it says a switch in my brain flips. And I think that Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's a big piece of this is letting go of all of those logic, complicated, messy day-to-day and just connecting with the feeling, the simple primal urges. And I feel like it's a really good description of doing that.
There's a primal exercise where it is and very little finger interaction takes place. As a matter of fact, it's a lot of nudges, it's a lot of shoulder presses, it's a lot of that. And it's pawing and it's pushing, and that's the nutshell. Let's eliminate all of the extemporaneous. Let's not worry about the ringtones. Let's not worry about what we were wearing or what we had for lunch. It's eliminating the overcomplicated in order to get back to, I'm with this person or people, and we're having this, and we are going to experience it, and we're going to be here. We're going to be in this completely. Sights, sound, smell, taste, the whole 9 yards. It is what, that's why the woods is kind of a good encapsulation, because there's a part of our brains, there's just a part of our brains that when you put us in that environment, it kind of quiets everything else, right? And so a lot of people go there to meditate. Just as effective if you go there to fuck. It's something about it just disconnects. And she's with somebody who's safe.
Yeah.
She's with somebody who's respectful. She's with somebody who, and she knows that she's there, and she has somebody who knows she's there. And so there's that ability in the safety of it, even though you're in a space that is complete X factors. Could start raining the next minute. If you've ever been to Maine, could start snowing in 60 seconds. You don't know. Being able to just having all of that set and just being able to let go. And don't we all look for that to a certain extent, especially with somebody we really are into?
Yeah.
Yep.
Find me hot, find me fuckable, and let's just be in it. And how long is that going to take? So yeah, Primal 101 right there.
Love it. So they both come very hard, and it is every bit as hot as you want it to be. I have no notes about like the smut. I don't
Yeah.
think there's a single scene that I didn't love. Like word choice, interaction, like the actual like the vanilla sex of it all. Like these particular like scenes, I think Oleander does a phenomenal job with.
Yeah, I agree. So she does get that question after they're done, though, of like, is he just gonna leave me in the woods?
Yeah.
Um,
And then he
and
does.
he does. He just says, "Do you know how to get back to the house?"
Mm-hmm.
And it,
Not as fine as again. Shane be Shane, and
yeah,
just tripping over himself every so like you know.
We're gonna
Like,
we
there's
gotta have
some-
his evolution.
yes,
It's
and there's
gonna
some
happen.
aspects of this where I'm like, that is so hot, and then there are other times where I'm like, oh my god, I don't want this at all.
Yeah.
offer to like carry my bag, please. Like, come on, can we just walk and
Something.
talk, or like when?
The fuck, man? So he leaves her in the woods.
Yeah.
And she like feels two ways about, and it's fine. And we get these like warring feelings on her part of like, he literally just left me in the fucking woods, but also that was in the contract. Like, he's not gonna stick around, he's not gonna spend time with me outside of the fucking like. So
See,
as
here's
much as
where
we don't like it,
yeah, I don't like it because I can see myself in that. Like, oh yeah, I can be okay with this. I can be okay with it just being, this is what it is, but then not. Like, lying to myself, being like, I could be okay with this being just the sex. It's in the contract. This is what it is.
yep.
But immediately being like, but cuddle me.
That's so funny. I was like, but cuddle. You could, yeah, like what, like, and it's a good thing that she wasn't tied to anything. Like, it wasn't a
Yeah.
sacrificial. It wasn't like sacrifice play where she's like,
I
tied to a
think
tree or
cutting
anything.
her ropes might be
That's-
not
that's-
necessary.
requirement.
That's not necessarily
aftercare.
That's not
yeah.
aftercare. No, it does.
So-
It does build a room for an evolution, though. I think, which is
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
And again, being able to flip back to Shane and Shane's point of view right after, and kind of having him be like, oh my god, I need to learn about this. What did I do? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it truly, I feel like the reviewer who said we get Shane's perspective when it matters,
It's
like,
true.
is spot on, because like we truly don't have like every other like back and forth, which I think is also why the pacing feels so good, is like just when you've gotten lost in Claire's head and start to wonder like what is going on in that man's brain, it's like right when you reach the breaking point of what the fuck is going on in that man's brain, do we get to see it close up.
Sure.
And I think it works really well.
I love it. I love it so much. He's
So
just,
we do
Sorry.
get him think with Claire the reality of hunting her was 1,000 times better than in my fantasies. So good.
Yes. Yes. It's fantastic. And so he is thinking, I'm leaving at 5 today, no matter what. Cause like it's been 2 days since I fucked her in the field. I gotta get out of work, quote unquote, early. But we are going to run into fucking Keith at work from Shane's perspective, and it's great. Keith says, I'm gonna check in on the ex, see how she's doing. And Shane is raging. He's like, I feel precariously close to losing my temper, even though I logically know there's no reason for it. What is wrong with me? I've never wanted to smash someone's face into an island before, but the idea is wildly appealing right now.
He also thinks to himself when Keith asks him what his plans are for the weekend, he thinks fucking your ex-wife better than you ever did. Loved that.
and just being able to like contain, didn't do
Yeah.
the alpha dude thing, didn't like say it, didn't like
No, he says, I'm gonna go hiking.
yeah,
But
yeah.
for a man to have
smiling
that
to
thought,
himself, smiling to himself, like
for a man to have that thought, 10 out of 10. Every man should be trying to do it better than the one before them. So he's like, why are you gonna try to link up with your ex-wife? Aren't you dating that paralegal? And Keith's like, yeah, I am, but also, some hate sex with my ex-wife wouldn't be terrible. She's lonely anyway, and she's still pissed.
And he says 10 minutes of remember the time we, and she'll be naked. And fucking, like, Shane's losing his shit, which I love. I love it. I'm such a sucker for this trope of, like, why am I so angry about this woman? Like, I don't know. This is a red flag that I'm just like, wow, an emotionally constipated man who doesn't understand his feelings. I go feral for that shit. Anyway, so.
But not enough to let him chase you through the woods.
Not enough to let him chase me through the woods. Absolutely not.
Doesn't Keith also mention, is this when he mentions that she's a giver?
Yeah.
Which you're sitting there going, but is she, or was she because it was with you? That'll fuck with a dude's head real quick. Was she a giver, or was she a giver because of you? Like, because you felt she felt like she needed to. There's a lot of territory that can be true, because from his perspective, she was a giver. But as has been learned, she likes receiving quite a bit.
Yep.
And doesn't necessarily need to reciprocate. So.
Well, and like, you're going to see. There are so many good moments here where, like, when she is on the receiving end, there's like a moment when, like, they're in the woods and she's been running and she's like, what if I don't taste good? Which is like such a realistic moment.
Say, real life. That is a real life moment.
It absolutely is a real life moment. But again, I'm going to go on my pheromone rant here. And that goes with the primal aspect of it, because that is a primal piece of things. But like, with the right person, after the gym, when you are the sweatiest, after you run miles through the woods, you're gonna smell even better to the right person for you. So again, I'm pro pheromones. Any man that's gonna get close to me is gonna go through the sniff test first.
And you're planning on chasing somebody through the middle of the woods in summer.
Yeah.
And sweat is gonna be a thing. And
this is my nightmare.
I'm gonna mention an anecdote, and it might, but here goes. There was a primal situation, where a nose got pushed into an armpit, and there was a deep breath taken, and the person who owned the armpit just had a moment of like, what's going on? I was like, I'm smelling, I'm getting to know your smell. And that, just saying that, there was like, I'm like, are you okay? And there was a moment of thought. You could hear the clicking in the, like, we've all gotten together for the group therapy session. Let's all knock this out right now in the 10 seconds that Nick's giving us. But it's that pheromone thing and being comfortable. Again, Primal is bringing it back to all of the natural parts, and some of those aren't necessarily as pleasant as we would like them to be, but the thing is the smell is the smell. The person is the person. Embody the moment and embody the reality of it, as opposed to being like, oh, smells like Axe body spray. Yeah. Like, so the pheromone test is a real thing. The pheromone test is a real thing.
Okay, you don't have to convince.
Because some people have that. It's we had this conversation with the last piece we covered, and we're touching upon it subtly here. There are certain things that just click with certain people that don't click with other people, which allow you to do things with people that you won't do with other people, and that's it. So sniffing an armpit might not be something you expected, but it might make you wet. And if it does, then where are you at? You know what I'm saying? Like,
so he is all fired up after hearing that, and his thought process is, I need to do it better so she doesn't go back to him. And he gives her a 10-minute head start. So we're getting all of this from his perspective. So we don't get her thought process, which I liked for this one. Also, we don't frequently get the sex scenes from the guy's perspective when there's a dual point of view. Oftentimes it's from especially if it's a female writer, I feel like that makes sense. But she headed towards the lake. It had just rained, so he's able to track her pretty quickly, which that's a skill that that's a skill. A very particular set of skills that you need to have.
Okay, Liam Neeson.
So he tracks her to the lake and then sees her shirt hiding behind a rock. And he's like, she swam out there in her clothes. That's going to slow her down when I catch her. But the Katniss Everdeen of her thought process, she took her shirt off. You were going to say that?
She thought this through.
Yes, she did. She took her shirt off and she hid it so that he would think that it was her. And it was not. It was just her shirt.
And she tricked him into taking his clothes off.
Mm-hmm. So he gets back to the shore and realizes that only his boots and his underwear is left, which made me think of the movie Now and Then when they trick the boys. You've never seen Now and Then? Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. This is such a 90s, like, teenage, again.
I know.
But also Devon Sawa. Like...
It's a classic.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you see Devon Sawa's butt in that movie, so like that was a big deal for my 11-year-old self because they trick them into going into the water and then they steal their clothes.
Incredible.
So he's like, shit, she stole my stuff, which makes him laugh because he's like, oh, okay, like this. He can appreciate game sees game.
He doesn't get mad. He finds it funny and he rolls with it.
Well, and he appreciates it too, because that's the other thing is that Keith talked about how Claire might sleep with him just to get back at Naomi because she is competitive. And he says it like it's a bad thing. And like we're going to see with Shane over and over and over again that he loves that streak in her. Like he really enjoys it. And it's just such a good juxtaposition of two men.
And this can be something that in a primal situation or a dom sub situation can be very fundamental because primal situations, as we'll see later on, they can flip.
Yeah.
Dominance can be shifted. And you need to be very comfortable with who you are in order to allow that to happen and be able to explore that more submissive version of yourself.
Yeah, which is what I really appreciated about this scene in particular, because this is the first time that we get an indication that he sees her as something other than prey also. Because he does catch her. And it says, staring down at her flushed cheeks as she snarls up at me, I don't feel like a predator who finally caught its prey. I feel like I've somehow gotten another predator on their back and the power balance could change at any instant.
Well, this is like a male lion and a female lioness. Where, sure, the male lion is the king of the jungle, but that lioness is going to smack him across the face with her claws out just to remind him of who can be boss.
And we're back into that whole very equal footing of it all and allowing yourself to explore that. Which, it's quite enticing.
So they have a very, very satisfying
this is
romp.
a fuck. This is a fuck.
Yeah.
This is a fuck.
He tells her to yield immediately upon catching her. He's like, okay, I'm done with the chase part of it now. Like, I want my reward.
Yep. And then they fall asleep in the woods. And this is maybe one of my favorite moments from Claire's perspective because she wakes to rancid warm air blowing on my face. It smells like garbage. I'm scared to open my eyes. Whatever bacteria is being exhaled will probably give me conjunctivitis. It has to be Shane. His weight is still on me. This scent is a stark contrast to the delicious mintiness from last time. I try to keep my face neutral, not wrinkling my nose the way I want to. It might be a medical condition.
Yes. So,
gentlemen, keep a box of Altoids in your prison purse. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
I have questions.
Your prison purse, the crack of your ass. You just run through the woods, keep it there, clench, got it just in case you need it.
many questions, Nick.
But no, in his defense, he may have had Altoids in the cargo pockets, but she stole the pants. She stole the pants.
That's true.
But
And also, in his defense, this is not his brat.
this is not him.
Yes.
She doesn't get to choose the man or the bear because it's both.
Yes. So she opens her eyes and swallows a scream.
Uh-huh.
And there's a bear inches from her, a massive black bear inches from her face. Now, is it black bears? Black bears are pretty.
Black bears are
Yeah.
domicile. They're
like
they're docile.
they're like
docile.
pretty much like forest dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to make a habit of being like, hey, I'm hanging out with some black bears, but it's not a brown bear. Brown bears are
Can't
public
pet that
bears will
dog.
fuck you up. Yeah. No.
But also this here is my nightmare. I am not a camper. I am not a camper. If I go camping, it's like I want to be in an RV or I want to be in a hotel. I'll go for a hike.
That's not camping, to be clear.
I know. But like when I say the woods, like I don't love the woods. I'll go for a hike. Maybe this book made me say maybe I'll get chased down in the woods. I don't know. But I don't like to be in a bear burrito. Thank you very much. And this is why. This is why.
You just don't listen. Nobody's thinking to themselves the morning after that you want to meet something that could potentially eat you. And not in one way.
Not in the good way.
It just, no. And so.
Not the kind of bite I want to be woken up to.
Uh-huh. So, what happens next is Shane moves himself between Claire and the bear.
Love it.
Very hot. He then, in the heat of the moment, as the bear is kind of lunging toward Claire, which she thinks in her brain in this split second that it's her sunscreen, which smells really good. He kicks her out of the way and then punches the bear in the head.
Yeah.
And all of this is great.
In the schnoz.
Also,
In the schnoz.
Poop them in the snooze.
Also,
the technical term.
this is okay to do with the black bear.
Not with a grizzly, don't do
Not
it.
with a grizzly,
listen,
not with a brown bear.
The situation isn't great at all. You're supposed to make yourself, with black bears, you're supposed to make yourself big and
Yeah.
loud.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with grizzlies and brown, you're supposed to make yourself like small and
Dead.
fetal because
And dead.
And dead. Because
Yeah.
you're supposed to be protecting your vital organs lest they try to eat them out of you. Like, this isn't an optimal situation. Basically, this was dude scared naked in the woods, and he did a thing. And
He did best he could.
it's very much he's currently in the fuck around portion. He's about to find out. Like, could we find out's either, hey, it worked, and I'm eating now, but
Yeah.
like Claire will get a good story out of it. I don't know. Like, what was the payout situation? Was this in the paperwork? Is what I'm wondering. Was like, in case of bear eating, you get the money.
Yeah, that's fair. If you can't finish the 30 days because I'm dead or the bear bit my dick off, you're allowed the $30,000.
I mean, dick bitten off is basically, I'm walking into the woods now. I bid you adieu. I'll send you the money. I'm just,
Farewell.
yeah, I'm not getting that back. So,
So she's like, did you just punch? Who punches a bear? And
He goes, it was more of a smack, really.
And she goes, well, thank you for not letting it eat my face. And he says, you have a nice face. It would be a shame if it got eaten. And I swooned.
Smooth as fuck. Bro
I
was
swooned.
on it. I was just like,
So she thinks to herself, are compliments covered in the contract?
And then
Which I also
relax.
thought
He
was
just said nice face. Again, me. I He likes my face. Does he want to rip up the contract right now? Like, no, he started the contract because he likes your face.
And
Claire says, how are you not freaking out right now? And he goes, I am on the inside. Pretty sure that
Right,
took 10 years
right.
off my life.
I do not care how fucking tough you are. I do not care how big a dude you are. There has always been a moment where, did I pee a little? I don't think I peed a little. Okay, I'm going to take that as the win. Like,
So he walks her back, which surprises her, given the previous interaction they had. And so they get back to the house, and Claire showers and discovers a tick in her hair.
Yep.
And she's like, well, fuck. So she is hoping that Margot or Gretchen, the housekeeper, are around and can help her. Because she's had a previous experience with her shitty ex-husband, where she discovers that he is a shitty human, because he's so grossed out by having to help her with a tick. So she strikes out trying to find Margot or Gretchen, because Shane's like, they're not here. What do you need? What's going on? And she goes, can you, I am sorry to ask this because I know it's gross, but will you get a tick off of me? And he goes, of course, let's go in the bathroom. There's better light. And like, doesn't hesitate, doesn't at all. And she's like, it's not gross. He says, it's not gross, I swear. And she goes, I know this is a huge turnoff. And he goes, what? Why would it be a turnoff? And she goes, you're picking a bug off of me. I had one behind my ear once, and Keith had to help me get it off. You would have thought I'd vomited on him the way he acted, like I repulsed him.
Keith's a douche.
Literally, he's like, there are so many things I want to say to that, starting with Keith is the biggest piece of shit I've ever met. And instead, he just says, that's a him problem. Besides, isn't there something in marriage vows about for better or worse with ticks and no ticks?
But this is also like a people-pleasing issue, because she's like, this is something that she had no control over at all.
Yeah.
It is not an issue with her. It is something that happened to her. So, like, it's a turnoff in how? And also, it's not going to be a turnoff. You're not going to be able to turn off the right person for you, no matter what you do, say, or have on your person.
Madam, he punched a bear. You think the tick is an issue?
In the nude.
No. All right?
Nude. Literally in the nude.
Like, we need to qualify this stuff right now. If he's gotten through that, we're good. We're good.
Yep.
Like,
so we do find out, because he says the ticks or no ticks, and she says I take it you've never been married because it's in sickness and in health, not in tickness and in health, which is like a terrible joke, but he finds it endearing,
so
and
funny.
he tells her that he rarely dates. Because he spends a lot of time at work.
it's so annoying to find an adorable rom-com buried in your primal smut. Let me just say that, okay? Dad jokes and goofiness and cool cat sweaters and shit. Like,
How dare.
Off-putting.
So she's like, well, that doesn't have to keep you from dating. Keith found his new girlfriend at work. And this is again where he's like, you're prettier than she is, thinking to himself, she's barely old enough to drink. Keith's a jackass and having an early midlife crisis. And he again goes with, he fucked up, right? You're a catch, seriously. Now, this is another one of those things where it's like a guy saying he doesn't date because he's too busy and he works too much. And this is another prime example of the like whole if he wanted to, he would kind of situation, because he didn't date before. He didn't have time for relationships until he found somebody that he wanted to make the time for. So
she turns to leave after he pulls a tick off of her head, and he wants her to stick around and says, I was actually getting ready to watch some TV. Do you like Real Estate Wreck? And she goes, you is that what you're going to watch? I'm obsessed with that show. And he says, really? I tried to sound surprised, like I didn't hear her talking to her best friend about it during one of the dozens of coffee dates I observed. Like I didn't DVR 3 seasons just in case she might want to watch it while she was...
So I wrote a note down. It says, stalker red flags, but I want someone to DVR 3 seasons of my favorite show just in case I want to watch it.
Also,
like we've said, if
I know.
the attention was unwanted, this would be a red flag.
Absolutely.
this is I'm not trying to be that guy, but this is Bruce Wayne evolving into Jack Black. It's him starting out as like the emotionally constipated, completely separated human being who can't have relationships because feelings, because daddy taught me not to have feelings. And he's like, because what happens next? He's like, yes, we get through red flag territory. The whole time I'm going, oh, honey, no. And then he starts getting into the show. And then he starts talking about the show. We hear him talking about the show. And I want to watch that fucking show.
I know.
Because I want to know if the house is possessed too. Like,
Same.
so this is also going back to that those neurospicy breadcrumbs. He's not, there's just so much about him that hasn't. He did the really big thing of getting this is kind of almost reverse some of the movie tropes. He did the thing where he got the good degree and didn't, because he thought he could have one or the other and didn't realize that he could have both, you know? And so now he's discovering that he can be both versions of himself because both versions of himself are valid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas his guide through this process is a woman of an age where they are similarly aged. She's not like fresh out of college, and she's well adjusted. She knows what she wants. She's working a good job. She's educating the future of America, and she's trying to pay off her student loans, but she also knows that she's a sexual being. So but the red flag was flapping in the breeze on that one.
Well, and we are gonna fully descend into red flag territory because she falls asleep watching the show, wakes up, and then she's like, well, good night. This was fun. And he's like, he goes to bed and he opens his nightstand and his fingers close on a small metal tube. Claire's lipstick. Now, it's slightly less creepy because the situation...
Because he doesn't put it on.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
I was not going to say that, but this is very creepy. I don't like this. But it was softened slightly by the fact that it is an accident that he ended up with it.
Yeah.
But
is it fully an accident because he placed himself in the position?
Correct. Well, he did not make her spill her bag everywhere, to be fair.
That's true. So this is where we get the information that, like, he really was kind of stalking her. He was following her to this coffee shop, setting himself up so that he could listen to her. And then one of the times that he was there was the first time that they really interacted outside of that Christmas party. She was leaving. She drops her bag, and he gets up and helps her put everything back into it. She leaves and he realizes that her lipstick was left on the floor. And when he goes out to try to give it back to her, she's already gone.
Yes.
We do get the information that the name of her lipstick is Wanderlust, which is what he has made her safe word.
Indeed.
Which I could not tell you the name of any of my lipstick colors.
No. So he is sitting in his SUV after this interaction and thinks, I could offer her enough money to pay off her student loans or just ask her out. The traditional route is tempting, but only for a second. There are too many variables involved with dating. Every romantic relationship I've been in has been brief, and I'm aware that shortcomings in my interpersonal skills contributed largely to their demise. This is a neurospicy individual.
I was about to say, that is such a... That whole analysis came with a pocket protector.
So we find out that whether or not he hunts her on the day-to-day, he still does ask her to watch this show with him every night. And then he sees her phone pop up with cheating piece of shit. And he laughs.
Yes.
And goes, nice name. She's like, he earned it. And he goes, agreed. So she has seen him with a genuine smile one time, and she's desperate to get to see his dimple again. It says, Shane's dimple is my Sasquatch, and I'm desperate to prove it exists on this side of the tree line, which is fantastic.
It really is.
Again,
And
the
Shane
writer.
asks, yeah,
It was really good.
it's so good.
So they do start to talk more. And this is where we get more information that on why Shane is the way he is, and how when he was 10, his father discovered that he slept with a nightlight and locked him outside in the dark until sunrise. And like we get some more of those, and we'll meet Shane's brother in a bit, and we get some more about how that whole like alpha male mentality is really what has made him be the way he is, despite not wanting to feel that way.
It's interesting too, because there's a evolution of the characters and there's a lot of plot, and having the brother pop up and having the brother be very different and covered in tattoos, and you have the one who rebelled against the father figure by changing his physical appearance so that he did not look like him. You have the other one who buttons up kind of sort of like the father did, but also has this underlying uniqueness which was stifled by the father, and he's now allowing to come out. So it is really, it was amazing.
I think it works really well.
It does.
So this next foray into the woods, Claire, we're 18 days in to the contract, and Claire is holding on to this hope, determination that she's going to win one of these. And this time she basically just hides long enough to get behind him and then follows him for hours until he finally blows the whistle and gives up. And she just pops out of the bushes like 10 feet behind him and is like, oh my God, which is so fucking adorable. But the moment of joy on her part is immediately like stymied by the realization as Shane whirls around and is completely shocked that maybe he's like Keith and they are competitive. They are lawyers. Their whole ass job is to fucking win. And maybe Shane will take losing as well as Keith does, which is to say, not well at all. And she immediately starts to backtrack. People-pleasing tendencies here. Maybe I didn't really win. Was stalking you cheating? It was definitely cheating. So what if we start over? And Shane's like, why would that be cheating? My goal is to hunt you and catch you. Your goal is to not be caught. That's it. And she's like, are you sure? Are you sure that I didn't like majorly fuck this up somehow? And he continues, I think you deserve a prize.
Also, he turns around and she realizes that he's hard. And she's like, oh, okay, we're good.
That's true.
It still works.
Just in case I wasn't completely, no, I did my job. Got it.
Yeah. And so Shane is delighted by this turn of events. Being bested fair and square always gives me a masochistic thrill. Losing means there's a challenge, a problem to fix, a puzzle to solve. I love puzzles. Like, this is adorable. It's incredible.
So he wants to give her a prize. And she's like, basically, my prize is that I want to taste you instead.
Yep.
Which he like kind of gives into, but also at the same time still needs to maintain the control over the situation. We've talked about this before. I don't love the whole like fuck your face kind of storyline. Not my favorite.
Not my fave.
It has to be, very select window of people who appreciate that.
And she does. She likes it, which is great. That's good for her.
I find it works as a statement a little bit better from the reverse. Like if it's cunnilingus or analingus, then fucking face can be a little bit, because there's a little bit less of a
violent
imposition when it comes to breathing. You know? Or a gag reflex. So utilizing it in that scenario. Like being able to say that to somebody works a little bit more.
Speaking of skill, because this is where he returns the favor.
This is
fantastic.
Which is
fantastic. It is important. We've discussed before. But he also makes her come very hard and decides to walk her back again, which surprises her again, because now it's becoming a pattern that they're spending time together in the woods. And she says, "Can I ask a question?" And he says, "Of course." And she says, "How did you learn to do that?" He thinks to himself, "I refuse to tell Claire the truth. After she agreed to the contract, I had a minor moment of panic that my existing sexual knowledge might be inadequate. So I called the first professional I had hunted and hired her to give me a sex refresher course, making it clear that this would not be a hands-on teaching experience. She showed up with a silicone vagina and a few books, and I took detailed..."
If he wanted to, he would.
This is what I'm, not only that, but whomever that sex worker was, let us cut her a
Doing
bonus
God's
check.
work.
Right.
You are doing the Lord's work.
Also, once again, this is a neurospicy man.
This
love
is
Fantastic.
Fucking love it. I'm here for it.
very empathetic, man. Somebody who feeds off of your emotional resonance, just like...
This is so good.
You know what though? Since I got asked a random ass question, let us reciprocate, because
Absolutely.
we're gonna put this on the fucking record.
Okay.
Receiving cunnilingus,
Yes.
getting oral sex, receiving oral sex without reciprocation. Does it happen often enough? Should it happen more? Could a guy say, "Second date, I want to give you head," and then just walk away afterward?
Could a guy say to a woman?
Listen, I've heard of guys expecting to get blowjobs after date 2, date 3, just as a kind of like a casual interaction, which is
Like, I bought you some
mind-blowing.
drinks, you
Why
owe me
not?
something.
What
kind of
about
thing.
the reverse? What about the reverse? Do we need to make this a thing? Does it happen enough? Often enough? Should it happen more? Because I've had a conversation with several labia owning friends of mine, and all of them are like, you know what? If I got a little bit of oral without expecting anything in return, my life would be better. So I was wondering,
100%.
No,
100%.
100%.
Honestly, yes, because men expect it,
yes.
but women expect that men are going to feel either obligated to do it, which men don't have that same feeling.
Where the fuck is the reverse, fellas?
Either
Where is
that,
it?
or they're like, no, I'm not interested in that at all. There's very few men that I've met that is their, like, bread and butter. And it's a shame.
It is a shame. I think so I think in general, the idea of giving without expecting in return, regardless of whether it's oral, whether it's toy play, whether it's like
Just
I think
orgasm period.
an orgasm period, I think is the thing that I would encourage any male listeners
you
that
go.
are left.
You heard it here first, fellas. I
to
asked the
do
question,
more
you got an answer. Do it more often.
Do it more often.
Don't expect anything in return. Surprise them.
That's the hottest thing, though. That's the hottest thing. It's like a man giving without expecting anything in return, and then being like, I am turned on by you being turned on.
There it is. Oral aficionados and pleasure doms. You all need to find them. We're out there in the woods mostly, punching bears in the nose and hiding our Altoids between our butt cheeks. Moving on.
Yes, mint. That's a little too close in some places. Mint.
Yeah.
You don't want mint to end up accidentally.
No.
Forget it's
Well,
there.
Unless you're doing the Altoid trick, but we'll leave that for another episode.
No, I can't leave it for another episode. What do you mean the Altoid trick?
Okay, the Altoid
Put
trick.
an Altoid in your butt.
No! Whoa!
That's what
Whoa!
you just said that.
Wow.
Put an Altoid.
No, that was not where I was going. I had the tin there in case you needed them.
The tin, the whole tin. I thought you just had one
Hold
Altoid.
it. Just clench and run through the woods with this face.
This is the best.
My breath's going to be
miscommunication
amazing.
ever.
Anyway.
I thought you just had the one mint. I wasn't thinking the whole tin.
But you thought
is
wait.
much more sanitary.
Okay. You thought that he had a single Altoid up his out of his ass
I
crack.
was not. Some people like to eat ass. That's fine.
This is where we end the episode. This is just it. Just cut. Just right here. Okay,
I was like, I guess there's really no difference if your tongue's gonna be up there, or if you're gonna have
the
Tell us
Altoid
what
trick.
the Altoid trick is now.
the tin makes a lot more sense.
I'm glad we could clear that up for you, because there's been like 45 minutes of conversation where we were on a completely different wavelength. Anyway, oh my God. So the Altoid trick. The Altoid trick is where you put an Altoid in your mouth and you get it good and wet, because the peppermint oil, once placed on exposed skin, will make the sensitivity of that area double, if not triple.
Yeah, 100%,
It
but
works
not
on-
on mucous membranes, because then it's
No.
just gonna burn.
No.
So, yeah, no.
Okay,
so
we're all back on the same
yeah.
page.
So okay, that's great if you're just talking about exposed skin, like shoulders, or like
Yeah.
chest, any of that, fantastic. But keep that Altoid away from my mucous membranes. Thank you
Just
very
that
much.
one single Altoid. Nowhere near it. the one.
Oh my God. Moving right along.
This is up there on some of the most outrageous things I've said on the internet, by the way.
That's true. So Claire says that today this experience of tracking him basically proved that she wasn't being tracked using the GPS in her watch. And he was kind of offended that she thought he would do that. And she was like, well, I was kind of hoping that you did use it, because then I'd feel better about how quickly you find me. Now I can't blame technology. I'm just bad at hiding, which I thought was very funny. So Claire goes on day 19. She meets her best friend, Sydney. They are talking about her experience at Shane's house. And Sydney is like,
Hilarious.
you need to be careful. Yeah, she's hilarious. But she's like, you need to be careful. I know there's something wrong with him. He has a room full of stuffed animals with fleshlights up their asses. He replaces the cream and Oreo cookies with jizz, keeps a mannequin foot in the freezer. And then they get interrupted by Gretchen. And Gretchen is the housekeeper, but also like a very, very old family friend of Shane's. And she and Sydney have great banter. It's all very wholesome and funny. And while they're having this like conversation, Claire is going through her mail because Sydney brought her mail from their shared apartment to go through any important stuff. And in the mail is a letter from Keith, which is fucked up because she's not replying to his text messages or answering his calls, so he finds other ways
This
to
is
make
the kind of
himself known.
stalking that's like, you don't want it.
Yeah.
Where
it's
if
fucked
you
up.
like somebody and they're trying to reach you by any avenue, that's fantastic. But if you do not, then it's harassment.
You
That
want
was a sobering
healthy
thought.
relationships, and Keith is not having a healthy relationship with anybody.
No,
I don't care
that's
how
true.
fancy the letter inside that envelope is. I have missed you the most, my dearest. Not a night goes by without me longing for you. And I can't help but wonder, you up, girl? Like, no. Like, I don't care how much Shakespeare is on that page. It's over. She's not into you. She
Yeah.
didn't respond. Get the hint.
So she's
It's
like,
not
I
great.
don't want to read this letter. You read it and tell me if there's anything that I need to know that's coming out of this.
Yep. Which
And
there
like,
isn't.
They're like, no, he just is a fancy way to say, I found this photo and remembered the good times. Hope you're doing well. So she throws it away. They all cheer. Sydney's asking Gretchen, so what's wrong with him? What's
wrong with Shane?
Why? He's hot. He's wealthy. He's got a good job and a big house, and he's single. Why?
And Gretchen says he avoids things he thinks he won't excel at. That man's scared of anything that doesn't have a handbook and KPIs. And frankly,
Same.
that spoke a little bit to my soul. Yeah.
We build too
Yeah.
much. We build too much into the space of demonizing failure and demonizing submission. And here's the thing, you know, we've got this lead who's built, who can run, who's 6'4", who's got the dimensions and the bank balance to back it up. But, you know, having those emotionally faltering moments, having those things where you have to admit, I don't know, I can't do it, I'm not good at it. There's no, you see it in society. There's no room for it, you know.
Yeah.
It's not accepted. You can't admit defeat, and that you learn from it and evolve from it. So he's living in that space, and that's the exact kind of toxic shit that he would have gotten exposed to from his dad, because his dad was absolutely a piece of work.
Which is really true masculinity, is being able to recognize when you fail at something and being able to recognize that it's going to change you and better you as a person, and to be able to apologize for things like that. And like that is masculine. It's not the stoic, I never fuck up and I'm always right and perfect and in charge kind of thing.
Yep. So we go back to our routine now. We're on day 22. And Claire gets a text, or rather, she gets summoned for a hunt. And Shane's not even home from work yet. But he pulls into the driveway as she's sprinting out of the house and shouts 2 minutes. And she looks up at the sky and realizes there's a storm coming, which is the reason behind the urgency. And they end up in the front yard in the pouring rain while a storm is coming. And it's very intense this time.
I did not like this scene. This one did not work for me, and I think it's because of the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
And this is what I was talking about with, like, at what point is, like, your safe word not usable in the situation? Because, like, so it's kind of brutal, and then he also bites her and draws blood. Yep. Does he ever even say yield? I don't think he ever really tells her to yield, but he does tell her to scream.
He doesn't really do a check-in. There's no there's no playful check-in at any point. This is very much the deep end.
Yeah.
This is 90 miles an hour and the brakes aren't even being used. It's and this is the kind of thing, this is usually when it comes to this in the scene, you have lead ups to this. This isn't a first introduction kind of thing. But the other thing is that with more and more exposure to primal play, you'd gain more and more comfort to be able to call yield, to be able to say ow, to be able to, like, being able to express oneself, you know, because you're growing more and more comfortable with the play partner or partners. And getting in your head about it you should not be getting in your head about it. If it's uncomfortable, you call it. If you feel you're in danger, call it. But things can get this intense, but it should be led up to. I mean, we're on day 20, what is it? 21, 22, 22. So there's been enough sessions up until that. But this is a very hard turn up. This is a very hard acceleration. And there's a loss of certain portions of what we've seen in other scenes leading up to it. So, like, is it in the moment? Is it this, that? I'm not going to excuse the behavior. All I'm going to say is, if it were me, there would have been way more checking in along the way.
Yeah.
And you can even do something like, if it's face down, mouth down, the whole thing, and you need to set up some kind of signal, put a hand in a hand. And if somebody starts squeezing, back off. If they let go, you're good to go. Like, there are ways of having that language set up, that verbal and nonverbal language set up beforehand. And so I'd like to think the work was done, but the scene in and of itself left a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So
and I think too, this scene,
go ahead.
Sorry, just one more thought, is that I think this scene also highlights just how incomplete the contract is.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, how much it complicates this.
Yeah.
Because they have like this brutal sexual interaction. She calls it a brutal orgasm. And she thinks, I feel emotionally depleted. The combination of exhaustion, the cold, and the most brutal orgasm of my life makes me worry I might burst into tears. And he finally is starting to recognize that something is wrong.
Yes.
And she says, Claire, you okay? And she says, yep, I'm good. Just going to catch my breath and then I'll head back. And she thinks, I can't let him know how fragile I feel. I don't want to be this vulnerable. The little voice in my head nags. He isn't paying for you to be an emotional wreck.
Yes. And this was like, so this is where I'm like, at what point is the scene done and you're not allowed to use, or not allowed to, but not using the safe word is not going to be helpful. Because there's sometimes that you can cry after sex because it's almost like a somatic release of some sort in some cases. But also she's brushing it off, which is not good. But he's said that he doesn't do the aftercare. So this is also this is kind of I don't want to say dangerous because that's not the right word, but for a reader to think to not use that word because he's already in his head going to go do this aftercare moment because that's what ends up happening, rather than them having that conversation, leads people to think or want that that declaration of that the big gesture. You know?
Yeah, they want their partner to be psychic.
Yes.
Is kind of what it boils down to. And
this is weird too because he's starting to open up more and she retracted completely in this moment.
That's a trope. I mean, that's definitely you see that happen a lot in books.
It actually kind of gets compounded right after this too, which in a separate way. But yeah, it hurt my heart a little because it was I was like, given the amount of work that you two have been doing up until this point, even beyond the contract, the fact that she didn't just feel comfortable being like, hey, can I ask you something? And then be like, can you hold me for a second? Or can we talk about this for a minute? Or can we?
Yeah.
It felt a little too tropey. And that was a speed bump for me on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she does
So he
pull
leaves her
herself
there.
Together. Yeah, but she pulls herself together and goes inside and then realizes that he's drawing her a bath, which is, again, that, he's doing the aftercare because he's done a little bit of research, but also,
he hasn't done research yet.
No?
No, he has no idea what this is. He looked it up after this incident.
Yes, because he does say, I may have gotten carried away. Correction,
yes.
I did get carried away.
This
so
is
he
a
does
visceral
do
response for him. He that caregiving kicks in because now we've gotten complicated. Not necessarily romantic. And let's clarify that. Not necessarily romantic complicated, but caring for another human being complicated is something that you can have even after having the experience that you just had in the front yard. So drawing a bath, being able to communicate, being able to just comb hair or chat it out or blanket burrito somebody. These are okay. They aren't necessarily your aftercare, nor will they register for you as aftercare, but it doesn't make you clingy either. And it doesn't mean that the two of you need to start considering it a long-term relationship or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It says, being away from Claire in the field tonight felt wrong on a cosmic level. Seeing the raw emotion on her face 1 second, then watching as she pulled a mask over it and told me to head back without her was unnerving. I had to do something, so a bath it was. And then he's stewing about it after the fact, realizing that she could leave at the end of the contract and that she could leave now. She could leave now because leaving a few grand on the table might be better for her than continuing with their arrangement. And he thinks fear makes me confront what I've been running from. I want her to stay. And so he goes up to her room and knocks on the door, and she says, "Come in," and he realizes that she was asleep. And he goes, sorry, I didn't think you'd be asleep. Did I hurt you? And she goes, you bit me pretty hard, but it's fine. Biting is an approved action in the contract. And he thinks the contract, a handful of papers that might be the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. I want to shred them into 1,000 pieces, light them on fire, and piss on the ashes. And he like doubles down and is like, but are you okay? You didn't seem like yourself after. And she's like, no, I'm good. I was just overwhelmed after it was intense. And he says, I'm sorry if it was too much. And she goes, don't apologize. It was fine. I liked it. Besides, that's what you pay me for.
Yeah.
So not only is there this kind of like emotionally fraught conclusion to that scene, but then we get the brother.
Yeah.
And the brother is, and it's like, okay, now we have a completely different tonal shift, but we also have somebody who has all of the backstory I might possibly want, and completely shows you like what the opposite personality coming out of that childhood looks like. And you're like, okay, this is making more sense. We're reinforced here.
I will say that this is the moment when Shane realizes I fucked up. It says that's what you pay me for. The words burn like a brand, confirmation that what we do is work for her first and foremost. I don't know if I can change that, but I have to try. Hurrying to the library, I flip open my laptop. I'll start with researching aftercare.
Like this, I hate the miscommunication trope because that's all this is like they both now have figured out that they love each other and
we need to overcomplicate it and add a little drama to the situation, and obviously we can't communicate because we're on two different
Everything would be easier if they could just have a conversation and all of this would get whatever. So we do meet Shane's brother Kane, which again, the naming not ideal. And they also have a sister, Delaney. Shane, Kane, and Delaney. Yeah, Delaney is the sister's name. So Kane is house sitting for someone close by. He calls his brother and he's like, hey, I'm nearby, come hang out. He doesn't really want to. He'd rather go see Claire, but he's like, I haven't seen my brother in a couple months, so I should go spend time with him. Plus, he might be able to give me some information on what I should do because he's my brother. So he tells him kind of what he does, what he and Claire are doing. Shane gives him like a serious chat, which is like this kind of person always can have like one serious conversation in like a month. And that's where they max out. Yes. So the next day, he gets home from work, but not...
Kane beat him there.
And Kane... I kind of hated this because, like, I get it. He's funny, whatever. But also, like, he's making Claire very uncomfortable. Because, one, she doesn't know that Shane has told his brother. So she's meeting the brother for the first time. She doesn't know that
Without any warning.
Doesn't know that he's been told about their whole situation. She's like, Margot and Gretchen know, but, like... they're in the day-to-day, so they kind of needed to. But he starts making these kind of creepy comments.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it because, like, it just makes me think of, like, this scummy frat guy that, like, is uncomfortable with the situation, so he's gonna make jokes, but kind of at your expense. But, like, he gives him a hug, but, like, traps his arms and goes, run fast, I've got him. Like, that's, it's making a joke of something that, like, they're not taking all of this as a joke, like, what they're doing. It's, I don't know, it's almost like shaming their
It's shaming
situation.
And also, like, what we're going to discuss here in a second here is that it brings to mind, once again, her sexual partner talking about their sexual escapades to other people without her knowledge or consent. And Shane realizes this immediately it
And
doesn't make it
apologizes,
better.
though.
He does apologize. He says, I shouldn't have told him without asking you. And she like tries to minimize it. And he goes, no, you're not weirdly private. For what it's worth, I didn't share details on the existence of our arrangement, but I shouldn't have done even that without your permission. I really am sorry. Like,
Again,
it's
masculine.
Yeah, to acknowledge that you fucked up and apologize for it, very important. So they kind of move past that. Margot drags Kane out into the backyard to show him the new grill or something. It doesn't matter. She's removing him from the situation, which is fantastic.
What a wing woman.
What a wing woman. And Claire and Shane kind of have like a real, actual flirty moment.
Almost kiss in the kitchen.
They almost kiss in the kitchen, which is interesting to me. I didn't realize that they haven't actually kissed yet.
Yeah.
I did, and it made me think of Pretty Woman
Yeah.
because she doesn't kiss on the lips because it's too intimate.
Ooh.
Yeah. I didn't even notice. I guess like my imagination had just inserted it as part of like sexual interaction.
You'd think, but some people, for some,
Yeah.
But given the where your mouth has been, like,
Of all the things.
and the Altoids, anyway, sharing the Altoids, but no, but again, it's the funniest thing because here we are, we've gone through the build up to the penultimate scene, right? They've had all of this interaction. There's been a bit of sharing, a bit of life and death danger stuff, and now they're getting into the place where they're starting to like I said, you snuck a romance comedy in the back end of my smut, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how? Like,
Yep.
so it's an interesting approach to it, and I did appreciate it. There were some moments where you're just like, but just have that one quiet moment. And then realize
It's funny that we got a slow burn in a weird kind of way.
Yeah.
Because everything else about it isn't slow burn.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Everything else about it is raging forest fire.
well, and
Not
from day one, where it's like kick down door, rip clothes.
right.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the cutesy. Like now we're doing the
Now we're gonna get like a real first date.
exactly.
Yes. So they don't kiss. They get interrupted. And Margot makes Kane apologize and says,
For
sorry,
making
I was an
everybody
ass.
uncomfortable.
I couldn't help myself. Please tell me you see the joke potential, though. It's endless. And Margot's like, that is not a good apology, which I love this. And it is setting them up for their own story. So then they go on this first date to like basically like a food truck kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which
Which
love.
is great.
I love a good food
Yep.
truck. So, the four of them
go. Double date. Double date where everyone's like, I don't have feelings for anyone. It's so awful and awkward, and I love it.
And it's perfect. So they decide that they're all going to get a couple things and then do like potluck style. So they are texting under the table, Shane and her, and he's saying, I've told him that she's got a fiance, and she's like, she's not picking up on the fact that he's in love with her.
Yep.
And then
they almost kiss again.
Yep.
In public.
Mm-hmm. And then they hear, Claire, what are you doing here? And it is none other than the shitty ex-husband. And
his new girlfriend. Fantastic.
So
Yay.
Kane invites them to sit with them because he can't read the room.
God, what a fucking moron. And so then Keith sits down right next to Claire,
As he
forcing Naomi to sit on the other side of the table from him next to Margot, which is very shitty. And what's funny is like Claire's having this internal war with herself because she's like, Keith is the bad actor here. Mm-hmm. However, like Naomi should not have made small talk with me at the Christmas party.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing behind my back, and she was also being kind of shitty, yeah.
There's a part of me that feels like Naomi is a traitor to some unspoken woman commandment. Thou shalt not ask the wife of the man you're fucking for her Christmas cookie recipe. Which is fair.
Yeah, true.
But Keith says, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And she says, why? It's just no man at this table can read the room.
No. This is
So
I'd be offended if it weren't very typical.
right.
But yeah, all of them, you could, yeah, you need to pass around a whiteboard where you can just jot down dude, read. Thank you. Okay, let's.
So he's like, I want to talk to you privately. She agrees, which I don't understand why. And then.
Yeah, she shouldn't.
Margot spills a drink on Naomi. Just girlhood.
It is.
And he sees her go to walk away and thinks that Keith grabs her wrist, but really grabs her hand instead. So he like inserts himself into that whole situation.
And this is kind of the evolution. Like we're chipping away. Not that there was a lot of strength to any part of Keith's character, because just everything about Keith is the exact wrong move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And completely embodies that, what is oftentimes seen as kind of like the pinnacle of manhood. I'm able to talk about my conquest. I'm able to tout people as my property. I'm able to walk around thinking that she's a giver because I was so good that she just wants to make sure I feel good and stuff like these behaviors. And it builds up to a point where, where Shane getting very close to boiling over, and Kane being a good wingman, but also a super awkward brother. And you have those, you have that working towards it. And I think it develops. I don't know.
So they're at day 29. It's the last night, and she says to him, or he asks how her bite is healing, asks if she's putting on the scar cream. She says when she remembers, but also part of it is like, maybe I want to have something to remember this by. Maybe I want the scar to be there. In her head, she's thinking this. So she's also, he asks her, she asks him, are you hunting tonight? And he says, do you want me to hunt tonight?
Oh.
And she's like, I want you to do what you want, but it is the last night. And then she's thinking, ask me for more time. I want more time. Ask me to extend the contract.
Ask me something. Let me know I'm not imagining this.
Yes. And he's like, do you want to try something different? Because it's been raining.
Yeah. And she realizes that he hasn't been hunting her the last few days because he doesn't want her to get wet. Because the last time it was cold, and he suggests an indoor hunt. And this is incredible because then they have an indoor hunt. Margot is still here.
Yes.
The storm outside knocks out the power while he's looking for Claire, and he calls out, like, is everybody okay? And Margot says, yeah. And then Margot's like, Claire, are you okay? And Shane says, she's fine, stay downstairs. And she goes, hold on, let me find my headphones.
Which, this is like college, man. Like,
yeah, right.
Yes. Yes.
Is there a sock on the door knob? Okay.
Yeah.
So she calls, protective gear is in place, activities may resume.
So this also, she hides in his closet, which again, she keeps hiding in places that she can't get out of.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He thinks that she goes outside, and then he goes to get his shoes from his closet and finds her.
Yeah.
He catches her, makes her yield pretty immediately, and then they have sex in his bed, which is a big deal. And she does say that he does not kiss like he fucks. So he does say to her that he's got so many, she says, so you do fuck indoors. And here I thought you were a one-trick pony. And he says, I've got so many tricks. She asks, do I get to see them all? And he says, not tonight. I need to have something to keep you around with. He put it out on the table.
Yep. There it is.
And it got ignored, essentially. But she
she hears
him.
it.
She does. The hope I've been smothering surges inside me, rising until it's all over my face. I don't want him to see how happy his words make me. Tucking my face into the crook of his neck and shoulder, I dragged my teeth across his skin. So she responds to him by biting him.
True.
And then he spanks her.
Yeah. And they have wild sex in his bed.
Yep.
And then afterwards, she's trying to figure out if she's supposed to stay. Is she supposed to leave?
Well,
And
because
he
in this
says-
situation, he's shown the vulnerability, and she's the one who bit.
Right.
So she's the one who brought the primal into the. So yeah, there's a little bit of a.
All
code
of this
switch.
is
Yeah.
all of this is awkward. And he says shower before bed, and she's still like, yeah. And he goes, I only have shampoo. Do I need to run to your room and get your things? And she realizes that this might mean he's inviting her to sleep in his bed.
Also, that
And-
he has a 3-in-1 shampoo that he expects to use on her.
Fellas,
Yes.
just don't. Just don't.
Yep.
They take a shower together. It's all very nice and sweet. He tells her that he learned how important it is to do aftercare. He did some research. And then he warns her that he doesn't cuddle. But as they do, he, in his sleep, burritos her.
Tuck it in, pull it close. Oh, there's snoring. Oh, there's drool. Oh no. Yeah, get used to it. Are the feet cold? No? Then you got a winner. All right? Lock it down, sister. That's it. Call it a day.
So she wakes up alone and naked in Shane's bed.
Yes.
Yikes.
But what happens is she hears a voice she does not recognize.
Yes.
And what we know as the reader, and what we may have forgotten, and what certainly Claire has forgotten, is that Margot mentioned when they met that her boss, Shane, is a good guy. And her sister is even coming to stay for a couple of days in a month.
Yes.
And Claire wakes up, hears an unfamiliar female voice. Margot is showing this woman around who's gorgeous and young, and shows her into a different guest bedroom. And
Claire
immediately gets the wrong idea.
2 and 2 equal 41. And you're just
Yeah, she's triggered though, because basically she immediately falls back into, I'm being replaced by someone younger and hotter. Oh my God, it's happening again. Like, this is not logical. She's not thinking with her thinking brain. Like, she has been hurt, and this is a visceral reaction, and she packs her shit and she gets the fuck out of Dodge.
Yes. So she realizes Sydney is visiting her fiance this weekend. I'm not going to tell her that I'm really upset because I know she'd be there, but I need the time to myself. And then she's like, I'm going to go camping.
Yep.
So Shane gets home, can't get home fast enough. When he gets home, he realizes that she's not there anymore. And Gretchen and Margot are both like, well, why were you expecting her to be here? Her contract was up, idiot.
Yep. Fucker.
And
They both read him the riot act and are like, you fucked up. You're the worst. Fix it.
yes.
Get out of here.
And he
So-
goes, I'm going to use the expensive doodad I had her put on and track her location.
So at first he looks up her address and goes to her apartment and knocks on the door, no answer. So he waits in his car, again, kind of creepy. And then he gets a notification to his phone that the watch needs to be updated.
Oh,
That is why he
That's it.
realizes she's still wearing the GPS tracking
Yeah.
watch, and he can go and find her, which he does. Again, this is where I get I want a grand gesture.
Yeah.
I want to
this is a
leave
great
and have
gesture.
somebody that I actually liked follow me into the woods.
But only someone that you like.
Only somebody you
Yes.
like. Yes.
Yes.
So
Because this is caveat.
That's true.
This must be desired attention for it to be hot
that's
in any
an
way.
excellent point. So he ends up tracking her into the woods through the GPS. She wakes up the next morning and sees that there is a man sleeping in the hammock that she had hung up, which also, like, that's wild. She decided to go camping. She's sleeping in a tent, but she hung up a hammock. I don't know.
Did she?
Yeah.
Did she
Yes.
hang up the
Yeah,
She
because
hung up
That's
the hammock
crazy.
and then finds a man lump in the hammock.
Yeah.
which-
That's crazy.
So then she realizes it's him, but she's holding a knife. And she's like, what about Sophia? And he's like, what about Sophia?
Oh, yeah, like, what are you fucking
What do you
talking about?
mean? And she's like, your new prey. And he's like, no, that's not it. I'd like to come closer to explain, but I'd also like to remain unstabbed.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Yes.
So he explains that it's Margot's sister, her apartment's getting painted, and she's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's
And
her guy.
listen, I will take the heat on this one too, because I forgot about that line at the beginning as well. So
Yeah.
I was like, he did. And then I listened to it and I was like, no, I did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay.
But also, he's got these women running his life for him in terms of his household. He's got an assistant. So, like, he has been spoon-fed information that he doesn't need to remember. So this is kind of a little bit of the, like, learned helplessness. A little bit.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, he also forgot about Sophia moving in.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, this is
Yeah.
he's had women running his life for him outside of his job. So, like, he forgot because nobody reminded him because, so, again, learned helplessness. So, he's like, I want to be with you. This is great. And she's like, how did you fuck it up? We're here, we're talking. That's pretty much relationship 101. Basically, like, we need to start having conversations if you want to have a relationship.
Yes.
Weird concept.
We're going to have a
Well, and
relationship?
she jokes, are you sure you're a lawyer? Because you're not great at this whole talking thing. And then he says the best lines, okay, which is, I'm great in a courtroom. Besides, it's corporate law. If I lose a case, it sucks, but the world keeps turning. If I lose you, I don't think it will. These are higher stakes than I'm used to.
It was so good. So good.
So good.
And she says, that was perfect. I needed to hear that. Like, it's fantastic. Then she asks him, would you ever let me hunt you? Because Keith was firmly against that. And he's like, you want to hunt me? And she's like, I'd like to try it, but only if you want to. And he says, with you, fuck yes. And this is another one of those times, I've said it before, if it's not a fuck yes or a hell yes, then it's a no.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially in
also-
something like that. Like,
This speaks to their comfort. This
Yep.
speaks to where they've grown. This speaks to him being able to put himself in uncomfortable positions based solely for the comfort of the other person and being able to take on that mindset, which is exceedingly important.
Yeah.
So
they
do that.
experience the hunt in flipped roles, which is very, very fun. It's very cool. I think this was a really good, like, role reversal for a story like
uses some of his lines against him.
this. She does.
She calls him a
She
good
calls him a
fucking
little
boy.
deer.
Yeah, she says good fucking boy, good little deer, which love the good girl, hate the good boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs...
We've talked about this before.
Yes, I didn't like that. But she's in control this time, which was fantastic. They both have a great time, and
Yes.
he says, "We're together, right? You're mine."
Yeah. And she goes, yes, we are, and I am.
Are we going steady? Like,
It's so cute.
like...
And she's... Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay because it is. It's as far as scenes go, it's just such a nice, like, bookend to the way it started versus the way it is now, and kind of like...
Although we are going to kind of ruin it just
Yes.
a little bit here.
That is
So you would think that this would be the end of the story, but we're at the 80% mark, which is typically when, in a romance novel, that 80% is when something gets fucked up.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not so much fucked up as it is just a resolution of kind. Like, a resolution
That's
and a
true.
crime. A resolution and a crime.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is, I think, it is the nail in the coffin for Keith, I think. It's that extra catharsis that I'm not sure we needed, but I didn't mind nonetheless. Because we're now a couple months later, basically. We've gotten to September. They are going steady, and they're going to a benefit for a charity that Margot's been helping out. And unfortunately, Keith shows up. And Keith is alone.
Yes.
What's up? What's up, Nick? You've got thoughts.
Keith, okay. So many things about this, but it's like, again, like Keith, I understand trying to like put the final, like the send off for the character. Like he could have fucked off into oblivion. Like it could have been him and the bear at the end, and I would have just been like, okay, the two of them, whatever. But like this in and of itself, just like it brought home the idea of, okay, interpersonal space in this and that. And I'm sorry, stealing somebody's phone and breaking into it for you viewers at home. Keith steals the phone, steals Shane's phone, breaks into Shane's phone, texts Claire to meet him in a conference room. She's like, fantastic conference room, wink, wink.
Yeah.
And we're all like, great. Shows up, Keith's there. Now, I clocked it a little bit early, and the worst part was I was at the gym when I did, so I went, oh no, it's Keith. Which doesn't help when you're on the Stairmaster and you say it out loud. Oh no, it's Keith. And the person next to you on the other elliptical's like, Keitho? And you're like...
Yeah, but you know what? You're notorious for doing that. So
this is true.
That's true.
I verbalize way too often. Also, I write lengthy contracts and like trains. Anyway, and can't communicate like a real boy. Anyway, but
So Margot and Kane are both with Claire when she receives the text message.
Yes.
And they are like amused and watch her go off to supposedly meet up with Shane, and then they run into Shane and he's like, where's Claire? And they're like, why aren't you with Claire? Claire, meanwhile, walks into this conference room and immediately realizes that it is not Shane waiting for her. It is her fuck-ass ex-husband. He admits to breaking into Shane's phone, and he says, if you had just talked to me earlier, I wouldn't have had to jump through hoops to get you alone. And he is delusional.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, I want to get back together. Congratulations. You pissed me off by fucking Underwood. You have won the divorce. You are the divorce champion.
which is insane.
Yes. You've proved your point. You can break up with him now. I'll say it again. You won. I know that's important to you.
how vapid and self-centered do you have to be?
Right?
Like, how tunnel is your vision?
It's narcissistic big time.
Like,
Yes.
you don't realize you just committed a crime in order to get with somebody who's been ignoring you for a month, if not longer? Like,
Yeah.
bro, read the room.
So I did love this. She goes, I won the divorce the day we signed the papers. The slice of my words feels liberating. Biting my tongue didn't make it bleed. It sharpened the edges. So good. So good.
So fucking good.
So
The
he's
rest of the
trying
team-
to get her pissed off, and it's working. And then he ends up like she tries to
He lunges for her.
she tries
and
to stomp on his foot and falls into him. And he grabs onto her. And then the door slams open and in comes Shane. Perfect timing.
Yes.
Perfect timing, as always.
And he's followed by Kane and Margot.
Because some communication took place and they figured out
Indeed.
the fuckery of it all.
Weird.
Yep. Yep. And Claire is like, just let it go. Let it go. Like, we don't need to have an altercation here. Keith would love an opportunity to sue you, Shane. Like, don't hurt him. And then, like, while she's trying to de-escalate the situation, Margot steps forward and socks that fucker in the face.
Fantastic. I love her.
And it's so good. Everything about it is great. And Keith just storms out. He tells Shane that he quits. They all go their separate ways. Kane and Margot leave, and Kane says, want to go accidentally key Keith's car? And she goes, what if we accidentally cut his brake lines? And it's just like, everything about this is great. And she and Shane end up at home, and Shane is having a moment about being a man, about masculinity, about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, as they're like getting ready for bed, we need to talk about tonight. What happened was completely unacceptable. And she has a moment and then thinks, I'm learning Shane speak doesn't always land right the first time or the second. And so they actually fucking talk it out.
Fantastic.
It is great. They have the conversation. He like admits that he feels like he should have done more, and then says, what if I told you, wait, she goes, he's like, I just want to make sure you can't run if I scare you. And she was like, how would you scare me? And he goes, do you swear that I don't need a contract before I admit this?
Oh, for God's sakes.
It's so funny. It's so cute. I love it so much. And he goes, so if I tell you I love you, you won't freak out?
Oh, I'm gonna need that in writing, and I'm gonna need I'm gonna need this notarized. Just a heads up. Like,
It's so good. Yeah.
but
It's fantastic.
It's a you get the warm and fuzzy after all of the primal. It's like a perfect package. You just,
Yes.
Yep.
and they understand one another, and then they are able to continue on forward in a healthy way, healthier way.
Also,
Yep.
he tells her that he hates her shapewear.
Yes,
Oh,
that's true.
Well, I mean, but
That was good.
It was good.
I mean, that was a lovely kind of thread throughout, because she's constantly fighting against some of those tropes. Oh, looking for somebody younger, hotter, and
Yeah.
cellulite, all stretch marks. All of these conversations do take place, and the shapewear conversation takes place, and
Yep.
just being able to, and it's threaded throughout, so that because a lot of that like has to do with the primal. Oh, I've got to be able to run and miles and this and that and the other and cardio and all that. Just being able to be you, again, boiling it down to the simplicity of it, so that there's real presence and real identity in the interactions is what's the most important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
We are going to get one more sex scene in the epilogue.
3 years later, not one.
3 years later, not one.
They
They're
are married.
Married, but there's no kid. So all things considered,
It's your
this
favorite
is-
kind of epilogue.
It
Well,
absolutely is.
He had a vasectomy.
That's true. But
That is true. I
Elle
forgot.
hates it when it's 1 year later and she's pregnant already, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, no, that does happen. That happens a lot. Have you guys turned that into a
Always.
drinking game yet? Should we?
Not yet. So we end with one last hunt, and before they go on a hiking trip, and it is a lovely kind of full circle moment, and that's kind of where we end.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how everybody rates this one. Nick, let's start with you.
So I'm going to give it a solid 4. I'm going to tell you why.
Nice.
Because I feel like between the emotional discovery that took place, and it's a nice little introduction to Primal for people who don't know it too well, and it explores the psychological as well as, and while utilizing some of the other tropes you see in some other pieces, it did it in smart and interesting ways, and communication took place, and there wasn't, there was misunderstandings, but it wasn't again, I forgot about the throwaway line about the sister coming to visit too, so I was just as guilty as Claire was. So yes, that is where I stand firmly.
Love it. Okay, how about you?
This is a 5 for me. I loved this. I loved it.
Excellent.
I mean, I read it. I picked it up, 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago. I read it in like 2 days the first time around, and immediately I was like, we need to do this for the podcast. We need to get Nik involved. We need to do all of this. Like, I loved
did.
it from
It's
the
true.
beginning. and I liked it just as much the second time around. So, yeah, this was a 5 for me. What about you?
This is also a 5.
Whoa, this
All
never
right.
happens with...
I know, and it's
Right.
crazy because like usually Kay and I, when like the kink is so strong, and it's also something that I can't imagine enjoying.
Yeah.
It's rare to get a 5-star out of me, especially when we've got lines like "good girl," the chick, it's not my bag. It worked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all of this worked so well. The writing was so good. The pacing of the novel was good. Like I really enjoyed
It's
this
true. It is
entire
true.
experience.
It was handled
And-
really well, and
Yeah.
there was a real pace to it, which was nice. It moved. It didn't feel like, it was really good.
It was a good
So, Kay,
Yes.
it is time
Yes.
for you to tell us who you cast.
So, Nick, did you come up with some while you were reading
Yes,
through
I
this
did.
one too?
Oh,
so
yeah.
do we want to
All
do
right.
what we did last time?
Oh,
We'll
sure.
each do it.
Yeah.
So for Claire, I went with Troyan Belisario, who she was in the show Pretty Little Liars. So she can do the kind of primal running scenes, if you will. Like there were a couple scenes in that show where like the murderers are coming after them kind of thing. But I don't know. I like her. I think she's a really good actress, and she's also tall, which is helpful for the actual character. What were you thinking for Claire, Nick?
For my Claire, I had Karen Gillan.
Who is that?
Karen
Oh,
Gillan
you don't know
has been
Karen
on
Gillan?
Doctor Who. She was in
She's
Guardians
the
of
redhead?
Galaxy. She was in the new 2 Jumanjis. She's 5'11", ages
She is.
right in the right range. And I think you need somebody who's kind of no nonsensey and very very self-motivated. And Karen Gillan's just got that energy that like and having her in this role would be very interesting to me.
Yeah,
Also,
I agree. Also, Kay, did you really pull this man out?
Yeah, I did. It was a 5-star. Cut me some slack. So for Shane,
She went easy mode, y'all.
No, it wasn't easy mode. I only use this when it's necessary. For Shane, I couldn't use Jason Momoa because that was obviously what he was.
You cannot.
And I had just used him like 2 weeks ago. So I can't use Jason Momoa. So I went with, it's not the easy choice, it's the obvious choice. And I went with the people's book boyfriend, Henry Cavill.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Henry Cavill with a beard, I'll bite him.
Okay.
I threw a curve.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Threw a
Yeah,
curve.
let's hear it.
Threw a curve. Because again, can't go with Momoa. Even though, who doesn't want to go with Momoa every chance they get?
Yeah, 100%.
I went with Winston Duke.
Another one. I don't know. I gotta look him
That
up.
is a
Just do me a favor. Google Winston
Yes.
Duke thighs. You'll be fine.
Thighs? Like, why is that a...
Just
Okay.
look up
Hello.
Winston Duke.
There it is. That was
Hello,
all we needed.
sir.
This happened the last time that Nick came on and gave
Hey,
us a
I
cast,
like
where
that-
Kay was like, "Thank you for introducing this man to me."
Yeah. Hi there.
I'm helping.
Those,
You are.
Those thighs are gonna help him run through the woods for sure.
Listen, yes, absolutely. But like, just the energy, just like the charisma, boom. Like the
Yeah, I
intensity.
I love it.
That's a sexy man.
And he's the dimensions. Listen, I gotta represent for the big burly guys.
True.
He's 6'4". He's built like a brick wall. So
He ain't. Oh, according to this, he's 6'5".
he's 6'5".
He's
I'd have
1
to-
inch
I'd have to
taller.
look up to him.
1 inch
Okay.
taller than the standard romance book boyfriend,
boyfriend.
which is always 6'4".
So I'd have to look up into his eyes. Got it. Good to know.
Lucky for you. See?
Wow.
Even the big burly men like to feel small sometimes.
Oh man.
So
Well, what are we reading next week?
So next week we are reading a brand new release. This is Valentine's Sleigh by Nevessa Allen, and this was one of those Amazon original kind of sets of books that they've been releasing by a bunch of different authors, I believe. So I am very excited to read that one, and so very exciting.
Yeah.
As always, if you've made it this far, and we know this was a long one, we appreciate you.
Us doing a long episode? Never.
Weird. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, leave some comments. Don't forget to follow Nik also if you haven't yet. He's got some... You didn't growl even one single time.
Don't worry, he's gonna close us out with an outro and a growl.
Oh.
My fault. I'm sorry, listeners. I didn't even request a growl from Nik.
Okay, they know. Listen, they should know where to find me at this point. If they don't, shame on you. Or come and catch me if you can. Moving on.
But with that,
We are at our wits' end.
we will see.
this has been another lovely episode of What in the Smut with K and L.
We'll see you next time.